Welcome back, everyone, to DBDLeague. It is the grand final day of the All Hallows League. And before we are talking about the amazing grand final, we already want to say thank you to all of you being out there, coming around, celebrating today with us. 2024 has been a truly amazing year. DBDLeague hosted overall 3 main events, and we greeted some new teams and upcoming players in our special winter circuit. And I think it's fair to say that throughout this year we had some of the greatest moments that were ever created. Alongside these tournaments, our 1v1 ladder has exploded during the year. In the peak times, you crazy grinders created a new challenge every 30 seconds. We handed out $15,000 in prizes throughout the year, and Season 9 and the All Hallows League have been the by far most successful tournaments of our history. We doubled our community size this year, now greeting 50,000 competitive fans worldwide, and we reached 250,000 unique viewers in the past year. All of these achievements, the growth from the community, and these tournaments are only possible with all of your crazy and endless support. Your patience, understanding, and your very kind messages during difficult times have inspired to improve us. So be assured 2025 will be an absolute great year with new challenges, improvements in the tournaments and in the production. And with that, once again, a warm welcome. It is the final competitive day of 2024 with a truly exciting game, the grand final between Elysium and Calamity. And let me introduce the 2 hosts for today that are going through the stats a little bit and going to introduce you into the match, Prion and Tobi.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Dyer. It is really an honor to be here today. And DBDLeague fans, like it or not, you are going to be hearing a lot from me today. I am going to be the desk host, analyzing between the games, and also I will be casting the actual matches themselves with Dyer here. But joining me, as Dyer just said, is the stats wizard of DBDLeague himself, Tobi. So welcome, Tobi.
Hello, good to be back. I'm really hyped for today's matchup. We have some great games ahead of us. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on the analyst desk today, and I think we will have a wonderful time discussing the stats, the teams, and the action that is ahead of us.
Yeah, so let's get right into that then, Tobi. We'll go through the matchup today between Calamity and Elysium, the long-awaited best-of-7 grand finals. And we'll start that by going through the sets. So I'm just going to read them off here, and then we will go a little bit more in depth on each one, maybe giving you some insights as to what's going to decide those or who has a potential advantage. So first, Calamity is going to have the first pick in this series because they are from the winner's bracket. Another important thing to note here is that since Calamity is in the winner's bracket, they have what we call the Joker pick, which means that if Calamity loses a set, at any time during the series, Calamity can activate this Joker pick and force Elysium to replay a set of their choosing. So keep that in mind as the score begins to tick up here in this best of 7. But the first series of the day picked by Calamity is going to be the Mastermind, Albert Wesker. And Tobi, which I'm sure you know this, if you know anything about Calamity's killer player, this Mastermind pick is not a surprise.
Absolutely not. Slight correction for the Joker set. Calamity is able to choose the Joker set, one of the prize sets they lost, when Elysium is on match point. So when Elysium would normally win the best of 7, Calamity can choose one of the sets they lost earlier, and then this set will be replayed. So we won't have an immediate replay of the Mastermind, for example, if Calamity loses. We will see a potential Joker set when Elysium is winning the best of 7, so Calamity can deny the opportunity. So the Mastermind is a really interesting pick And I didn't expect it to come through because Calamity picked it 3 times already in AHL and they stomped every matchup with the Mastermind. I don't know how they keep getting the Mastermind because they beat Eternal and they also beat Elysium with it. And I don't know what the actual plan by Elysium here is. Maybe they are just really, really confident in their ability to play out this Mastermind set and win it against Calamity. But Obi on the Mastermind is playing really, really good so far this tournament. I'm really excited to see this matchup unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really can't wait to see Obi on the Mastermind, and you're absolutely correct, Toby. It is surprising that Elysium let this through the ban phase. Um, but going into the next set, it's going to be something that we've been seeing quite a bit recently, but only very recently, and that's going to be the Dark Lord or Dracula picked by Eternal. And this is something that, or sorry, not Eternal, Elysium. We just lost Eternal in the last set, and both of those teams have been picking the Dracula, so I got a little bit confused. So it's going to be Xeno playing the Dracula for Elysium today, and both Elysium and Eternal, who are no longer with us, have been picking this Dracula very consistently. They seem to be adamant that they have been cooking something on this Dracula pick.
The interesting thing about the Dark Lord sets is that they are really unpredictable. We have seen Dark Lords getting outed with only 3 stages, but we have also seen 4Ks and 1 generator remaining. This set is so versatile and it really depends on execution, and we have not seen Calamity play it so far in this tournament. So we will see whether they might have a specialist. We know, for example, when there is a Demogorgon, that Rocket is going to play this. But for the Dark Lord, I don't know whether Obi will just take responsibility or they might have a specialist in the background waiting for their turn. I don't know what to predict on this set because we saw Elysium be dominant on the set, but we also saw them struggling with the Dark Lord earlier in the tournament. So this one is really up in the air for me.
Yeah, honestly, I would agree with you there, Toby, that the Dark Lord set is kind of a toss up. You're correct that we don't really know if Calamity has somebody that's comfortable playing that Dracula. I would guess that Obi would be able to pick up that killer and play it with some relatively good skill. Obi's an extremely good killer player, very flexible. I know he has his mains that he likes to play the most, like the Blight and the Mastermind, but he strikes me as the kind of player that could pick up just about any killer and do well with it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right. If we move one set further, we have the Cenobite. Cenobite is a bit of an odd one because we've only seen 2 Cenobite sets so far this tournament. Both of them were not really convincing, so the Cenobite looked kind of weak. Calamity picked it once against Affinity, and they were really, really struggling in this set. They won it, but only because Infinity took a penalty because they brought the wrong offering. So this does not look the most promising for Calamity, but maybe they took the time since the last Cenobite set and worked on it, and they're pretty confident in bringing it here.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Toby. The previous Cenobite sets that we saw were very shaky. So the fact that Calamity has picked it here means that they have probably been scrimming it quite a bit, and they are quite confident in their skill as and against that pinhead. So if we move on to the next set, we are going to be into both of the Halloween sets here. And honestly, I am surprised as to how these Halloween sets turned out for this grand finals. So if you are new here to DBDLeague, I'll just explain to you. The Halloween sets are something that are specific to this All Hallows League, which started around Halloween back in October. So the way that it was being done was that each best of 5 in the playoffs and now this best of 7 in the grand finals contains 2 special Halloween balancing sets. And those sets are the Tier 1 Scratch Mirror Myers, the Halloween Spirit, the Halloween Huntress, and the Tier 3 Myers. So these sets have special balancing rules, like, for example, okay, I forgot. There's also the Halloween Onryo set, but that one was not picked today. So these sets have special balancing rules, and the ones that have been picked today were the Tier 1 Myers from Elysium, and the Halloween Spirit from Calamity. Now, throughout this tournament, Toby, by far the most popular Halloween set has been the Tier 3 Myers. So I am very surprised that we're not seeing that today. But I'm even more surprised that we are seeing the Halloween Spirit at all, because that one has been by far the least popular Halloween set.
Yeah, absolutely. We have two fairly underdog sets in the T1 Myers and the Halloween Spirit set. The T1 Myers is pretty unique in we have seen Calamity actually zero stage this, so they managed to get all survivors out of the door without giving the killer any hook stages. This was kind of impressive. This is why I'm not really sure why Elysium did pick it, but this seems to be the case with a lot of the sets we have today. When you look at the matchup, not all of them make sense at first glance. The Halloween Spirit, for example, is a bit different because there is a special rule. The Spirit has to bring Haunted Ground, the Hex perk, and the survivors need to cleanse Haunted Ground before they pop the first generator. So you can prepare the 3 to 4 generators maybe before you decide to cleanse it. But this set is really, really depending on a good strategy on the survivor side and on execution. This can go really, really well, or you can throw your whole game by just popping one generator and the spirit just going around the map and slugging everyone, and then you suddenly have a 4K at one generator completed.
Yeah, and it's not hard to see why teams have shied away from this spirit set, because having to find a specific totem and cleanse it before popping any generators is not something that these teams are very accustomed to. I believe it's a play on some of the rules in the Asian competitive DBD scene. So I guess just not something that these European teams were ready for yet. But Calamity seems to think they are ready for it today. They've maybe been practicing it, maybe recognizing that it's one of the least popular Halloween sets and wanting to surprise Elysium with it. So it's another surprising set coming up right after that Halloween Spirit set. Something that, if you look at the stats, you would be shocked that Elysium picked this, and it's the Chucky. If you want to explain why that's surprising, Toby, there are a few reasons.
Absolutely. The one reason is that almost exclusively this was Eternal's pick. Eternal loves to play Chucky. We even saw it in the previous matchup when Elysium faced Eternal. The only set Elysium lost was this Chucky set against Eternal. And Eternal is always getting a 4K on 2 generators remaining when they are playing this Chucky. It does not matter if it's on Dead Dog Saloon or on Larry's Memorial Institute, they are just really, really good at it. And Elysium did not show us a good Chucky gameplay yet. So I'm kind of surprised they decided to pick it up. The only reason I can think of is that Calamity did not show us any Chucky gameplay at all. And they might gamble on the fact that they can catch Calamity off guard, and they can take advantage of this. So we have one more set to go through before we can go into some little sneaky predictions. What do you think about our tiebreaker, the Nemesis?
I really hope we get there, Toby. We have been baited with this Nemesis tiebreaker multiple times throughout the playoffs, and it just hasn't come to fruition yet. I think everybody is excited to see the Nemesis played in competitive DBD. And really all I can say is that I want to see it.
We luckily did see it once already. It was the upper bracket match between Eternal and Calamity. And this was the set where Calamity was sending Eternal down into the loser's bracket. I see
okay.
the lobby is already starting, so without further ado, I will move my chair a little bit back and make some space for the wonderful direwolf to
Wait,
guide
Toby,
us into...
don't go anywhere. You need to give your prediction.
Oh, yeah, oh, true. If you would ask me, I think to the fact that Calamity did not lose a single set that was not a Halloween set so far is the factor for me that Calamity will take this by 4-2.
All right, very good prediction there from Toby. And, before we get into this game, I just want to say my piece. I think this matchup will be decided based on what condition is Xeno in today. If Xeno is in the on position today, Elysium will take this and it will not be close. That is my prediction. So Now, going to be handing off Tobi's mic to the one and only Dire Wolf, and we are already here in the first game with Obi on the Mastermind, and it looks like the map selected is Rancid Abattoir.
I cannot agree more with you, Prion, and once again, welcome here. It can be a very deciding factor how Xeno is going to perform today. One of the most famous players, has so much experience throughout the years, and some people even say you need to make Xeno a little bit angry, so he really starts to shine. The first chase, however, is going on to Granout. Swatter, Pedro, and Xeno are completing the survivor side of Team Elysium here. Obi for Team Calamity with the first hit just now, but Elysium has a very quick response to this injury that is coming through. The first generator is going to be completed in our Mastermind, just coming out 2 meters short in the shack. Pallet going to be dropped to gain a little bit of distance and costing some extra time towards the killer here. Next dashes coming forward. Ground with a perfect dodge here, making it towards this little filler pallet here. Very nice work so far by him, giving the survivor team exactly the early game you're looking for.
Yeah, really good start for Elysium so far. Those missed bounds really will add up here, but now Granout zoned back towards the shack pallet that he already used. First bound coming in from Obi. He does have the egg here, but he's actually just going to elect to walk Granout down. Gets the basic attack through the window. That was great pathing from Granout to dodge out on that second bound and waste even more of Obi's time. So one generator already popped off in the distance, and it looks like it's going to be a second generator here as well, Dire. So huge start for Elysium.
Great start into the grand final. Granout's first stage coming through after 2 generators have already been completed, and we have seen another generator with 50%, so you could say the survivor team already marked the halftime here on their objective. We do see no one escapes. Death is in the back pocket for Obi, as he was kind of expecting that Elysium is going to have a pretty strong run. In case you're new and you're wondering why is the Mastermind played on the Rancid Abattoir, Calamity has selected this killer, and along with that the teams can select the map out of a map pool of 30 different environments overall. So Calamity decided that it's going to be the Rancid Abattoir, and so Elysium is going to play their Mastermind on the very same map. Swing coming through, not going to find the hit here. Pedro staying alive and happy, circling around with a perfect fake here as well. You can tell that he is the number 1v1 champion with the most season wins of the leaderboard, and it's just so beautiful to watch him starting to shine here, and that's definitely going to be a few more generators coming out.
Yeah, Dire, Obi is just not landing these bounds quickly enough and getting mind gamed on that tile by Pedro. He is really going to need to get these downs more quickly here if he's going to get a good result. Now on this very unsafe middle of the map palette, and it's going to be Xeno coming in to take a hit for Pedro. Very nicely done there. That area is very weak if you don't have somebody to help you. But for Obi, that doesn't really matter. He will take any survivor he can get right now. Blood Favor active on this palette. Going to be moonwalking here to try to get the drop on Xeno. The Blood Favor is gone. Goes for a bound around the outside. Not going to work though. Vaults the pallet instead. Xeno goes for a Lide there. Very nicely done. That's going to get him off of the short side of that loop and maybe over towards the cow tree here. Bounds maybe coming in from Obi, and he does get the slam. Very nicely done by Obi to get that down on Xeno. That's going to only be his second fresh hook of the game, Dire, and we are at 1 generator any second now. This actually could be all of the generators done.
Oh, yeah, you asked for it, Prion. You wanted the end game, and Elysium is instantly delivering that. Good that Xeno is on the hook here. A fresh hook. That would be 2 more stages from now on if Xeno is staying behind, but of course you would love to have a little bit more. Could even do something with the No One Escapes Death onto Swatter and Granada, and even with this little sprint boost that you get while having Know It Up. It's not going to be enough to counter the nice dodge that Pedro performed here once again with with his window fake, a lot of looping going on, and now the 4% are going to come in clutch here a little bit. Blood Favors making sure that we won't see a pallet save, so the survivor team has rotated away, taking care of the exit gate. Zeno has been rescued by a perfect and efficient timing. Pedro going to be on the hook. 2 more stages possible here. We are talking about 5 stages on only 3 individual survivors, though absolutely not the start you want to have into the grand final. When you have selected the mastermind, that's important, ladies and gentlemen. Our killer player for Calamity came out with the choice here and is unfortunately not able to really deliver it yet. At least I think this is how Calamity is going to feel with this start here. Elysium, on the other hand, very much of a reason to celebrate early on, and this looked absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, this was a incredible survivor start for Team Elysium. Exactly what you want if you are a fan of Elysium. They came out with some incredible chases, incredible efficiency on the generators, and they have just made a statement here against Team Calamity's pick. It's going to be a relatively easy result for their killer to achieve as we flip the sides here, but we're going to be throwing it over to the analyst desk with myself and Tobi here. Tobi, what do you think Elysium needs to do on the killer side, or Calamity on the survivor side, to win this game?
I think Calamity needs to play a near flawless game because Elysium did such a good job of running the mastermind around the map, denying resources from him, and they were so efficient on their generators. Obi really did struggle a bit with the mastermind in this set. I don't know whether Elysium expected a map like Rancid Abattoir, but they looked not like they were uncomfortable playing on this map, so Calamity really needs to step up to take the set point. I mean, Elysium only needs 6 hook stages to win the set, and this is just like 2 full eliminations, so it's definitely possible.
Yeah, we are going to need to see a extremely good survivor performance from Calamity, but you know what? We have been seeing that from them. As Calamity has made this run through the upper bracket, we've seen them 0 staging the tier 1 Myers and getting less than 3 stages on various other killers. So if anybody is going to put up an incredible survivor result like that, I think it would be Calamity. Let's remember that Calamity has been on an amazing hot streak recently, and it was actually Elysium and Eternal that were in the losers bracket this time, something that we rarely ever see. In general, I would say that Calamity is finally getting their shot to be a grand finals champion. They've been up there for so long, just like fighting and getting 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, but we'll have to see now if their survivors are up to the task. They've come so close, and this is finally their chance to be first.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, if you just take a look at the stats for our survivors, we began tracking hook stages during AHL, and we can have a look at the average hook stages per game. And all of the Calamity roster is really, really up there with the lowest number of average hooks per game. I mean, for example, Rocket played 21 trials, he escaped in 14 of them, and on average he gets hooked 1.19 times. This is by far the lowest amount any player could achieve. And close behind him are Hein, Marco, and with a little bit of distance, Oscar, for example. They are really, really a competent survivor roster, and they managed to surprise us a lot during AHL with their team play, with their coordination, and they really outmaneuver some killers on certain maps because they are so in sync with each other.
Yeah, and it's going to be seen now, Tobi. The prediction that I made before, that the state of Zeno is going to decide this match. It's going to be his first killer performance just now, and how Zeno comes out of the gate here is going to be so important for how this series goes on. But we are loading into the trial now. Going to be any second now that we'll be throwing the mic back to Dyer, our commissioner. Looks like we have the builds on the screen here. Zeno, only a Prestige 5 Mastermind to Obi's 100. But we know that Zeno is an amazing killer player. He can do it if nobody else can. Very similar build, honestly. coming out from Xeno, and it looks like he's already found scratch marks, Dire.
Yeah, it seems like the teams agree that the other survivor side is reaching the end game and potentially in a speed run, so that no one escapes death in the back pocket is the decision for both here. And we were just hearing it during the campfire chat. They almost need a flawless game, and flawless is not taking the first injury into the blood favor here. Xeno making sure that Calamity is under pressure right from the get-go. The Undying is leaving the trial that was supposed to protect a little bit here the blood favor that we've seen on the killer side, that is giving this extra advantage during the first chase. Sometimes it's even enough when the blood favor only strikes one time, like here for the 2-tap onto Marco, because the early game is such a deciding factor for the rest of the trial, and having this survivor almost instantly on the hook is giving Xeno all the chances here to take the first set for Elysium.
Yeah, and it looks like Dire Xeno is committing to going for fresh hooks here. And that's going to be Pedro lockering up for some reason. He's just going to get grabbed. I'm not really sure what happened there, Dire. Did he think that he was going to dodge out on the bound? And, I mean, Xeno did not even need to channel his power there. That's why he put it away and just grabbed Pedro out of the locker. These are the kind of mistakes that we really need to not be happening if Calamity wants to win this game.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I really think he wanted to go for the mind game, forcing Xeno into the over dash basically, and then taking the distance resulting from that. But as you said, second hook stage already, really not what Calamity is looking for. 75 and 80% on 2 generators though in the distance. That's really important now, that you're keeping the generator efficiency up the top, and then you need to make the most out of the mid-game chases. We've seen the decisive strike is still in the game as well, so all these tools that can be used as a second chance need to be thrown together, and they now need to also make sure that the perk builds are coming out entirely. We have a Lyth here for a little bit of extra distance as well, together with the quick vault ability from Lara. Very perfectly done here by Marco, making sure that it's going to be a delay on the injury, and that's going to be exactly the case here. Beautiful play by Marco.
Yeah, and it looks like Xeno is actually just going to choose to vault that pallet with the power. Marco now holding W away from the tile into the main building now. One bound coming out. Going to use the egg there to... Yeah, going to use the egg there to reposition him away from the pallet. Good hit there from Xeno. Marco now having to path over towards the other side of the main building. And he doesn't have much here, Dire. He's going to have to play this super unsafe pallet here against Xeno. He's going to point, and yeah, that is probably the correct play. If you are a survivor there and you have a teammate that wants to help you nearby, it is good to just sometimes die on that pallet. His teammate here, Pedro, is here to try to get the pickup as now chase onto Rocket. This is the Deliverance survivor, so Calamity is more than happy to have chase onto Rocket here.
We need to ask our wonderful producer real quick to please start the Discord screen share. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but recently Discord is not always working so strong anymore, so we are having some technical problems. In case you encounter any audio issues throughout the stream, they are going to fix themselves after 10 to 15 seconds. Thank you for your understanding on that. Rocket on the hook here, 2 minutes and 20 seconds of hang time overall, in case that is the survivor you want to sacrifice here. Go through all the generators and then escaping. It would be the tie condition basically for the team here, so this might be a chance for the survivors, though they are obviously trying to get the best out of it here to win. So we can expect Rocket to be saved, but what we really need is the comeback through the mid game here. Marco is going to spray, and we need some strong performances, and I do believe that is actually Marco who we see here on the Harvester, and that's going to be difficult because we have the ability to go for the one shot with the power onto Marco, who was here with the toolbox. But Marco, even in the most difficult situation, he's able to distract the killer and make him run. Then the vault coming in to block the dash ability a little bit, and wasting even there 2.5 seconds that might be so important when we are talking about the generator completion. Very well done, Marco, the second time already in this grand final, stepping up here on the survivor side and showing us a very strong performance, trying to go for the fake, but now it's going to be too late. That's the one shot onto Marco here. Good though for Calamity that it's not a fresh hook, so the chances are still alive.
Yeah, thanks to that amazing pathing from Marco, Calamity is still in this game. That's going to be the 4th hook stage here, and only 1 generator to go. If Calamity is able to protect Hein here and make sure that they don't get more than 1 more hook stage given, especially on that fresh hook, they will be able to make it into the end game here, but they still need to do that last generator, and Hein is going to get found stealthing near the hook. This is very bad for Calamity, as that's going to be the bounds barely missing from Xeno. Now Hein needs a hit here. He's in the main building, and that's going to be Pedro coming in for the hit. Nicely done by Calamity, but they need those hits taken to stay alive here. Bounds coming out from Xeno, going to miss, and Hein will make the shack. That is an extremely costly miss from Xeno, as now Hein paths towards the shack pallet, going to immediately throw it. This chase needs to be so long, Dire, or Calamity is done for.
Calamity needs to run like never before. They need to chase not only for the All Hallows League, they can chase as long as it takes to start the winter circuit. And even then, we want to still see Hein running around this cow tree here. Where are the Calamity fans? This is the moment that decides. The fresh hook is able to drop the pallet here off the cow tree, making distance. There's a survivor coming in. Rocket, if he would die, we are talking about the 5 stages. Then we need him from the shoulder potentially, but that is a question to worry about in the upcoming minutes here. But so far it is going to be none of the survivors down. Hein, however, we need some buddies, we need someone rotating in, because if Xeno is taking this down, the story is going to come for an end for Calamity. And there was the attempt with the adrenaline. Unfortunately, it's not really working out, but Calamity showing 100%. They had the plan, they had the awareness of what's needed, but unfortunately we are having 5 stages on 4 individual survivors, and that is worth more than 5 stages on only 3 survivors, as we want to encourage the teams to go for the individual chases here. So it is going to be the 1-0 for Team Elysium. Calamity's plan with the Mastermind not working out.
Yeah, that was extremely intense, Dire. Just a few seconds there decided whether Hein would get the adrenaline and continue his chase, or if Xeno would get that final fresh hook. But it is going to be Elysium going up 1-0 in this grand finals on that Mastermind set, and Calamity made that so close. You have to wonder maybe if Rocket had maybe just taken the down for Hein, if then maybe the adrenaline would have gone off. That would have bought him a few precious seconds to get that adrenaline. But then they still would have had to deal with the no-ed. So very close game there, Dire. But we are going to have to go to the second set now, which is going to be the Dark Lord here. This is going to be the Dracula that was picked by Elysium. And what do you think about this set, Tobi, given that Elysium just went up 1-0?
I think Elysium should be favored in the Dark Lord set slightly, because they just have more on-stage practice than Calamity does. I mean, we don't know how scrims are going, but so far what we've seen in this tournament is that Elysium is likely to pick the Dark Lord in dire situations, and that they can perform on it. They eliminated Eternal on a Dark Lord set, so they should be really, really comfortable, and we are yet to see a Dark Lord from Calamity. So for me, it's slightly Elysium favored.
I would agree with you there that it is a bit Elysium favored, and also because Elysium just went up 1-0 in the series. And, you know, if you've been watching DBDLeague for a while now, you'll know that Xeno really tends to operate off of momentum. When Xeno starts rolling, it is very, very hard to stop him and Team Elysium. So going up into the series that they picked when the score is 1-0, I would say the odds are beginning to tilt in favor of Elysium here. The Dracula set is something that we have not seen from Calamity. I would assume that it's going to be Obi playing that, and we know that Obi is a very strong killer player. We just have not seen him play the Dark Lord a single time yet. So I'm curious to see what kind of build and add-ons we get out of Xeno. when Elysium was playing this set against Eternal, there was clearly a disagreement on what the best Dark Lord build was. We had Nightlight bringing some sort of Grim Embrace build, usually with anti-healing perks, and then Xeno going for a more traditional build, Gen Slowdown, and Totems. But it's going to be interesting here to see what these guys go for also on the add-on front, because this killer is not solved yet, Tobi. It is the newest killer to even come to the game.
Yeah, right. As you say, the only perk both sides are agreeing on is Corrupt Intervention, as far as our Dark Lord trials played out. So Corrupt Intervention is the go-to perk if you play him. On the other side, it's really dependent on how the killer wants to play the trial. We have seen Hex Blood Favor, but we have seen a lot of other aggressive perk choices, and it's still a bit up in the air how the killer players want to play out their trials. We will see this in a short minute, but one interesting side fact, this is the first non-Halloween set Calamity has lost in the entire tournament. So Elysium did really damage their reputation a bit by finally handing them a loss in a normal set and one set that Calamity picked for themselves. So this should be a confidence boost for Elysium. Let's see whether Calamity can bounce back from this close loss in the Mastermind set.
Yeah, that's a really interesting stat, Tobi, and it really serves to show just how good Calamity have been throughout this bracket stage of the tournament. Hopefully they can bounce back. I know Calamity is known for having a very strong mental game. They're a consistent team that's been together for a long time. They do not tend to tilt or get emotional, so I would be very confident that Calamity will be able to bounce back here. As we are going into the game, as we're on the loading screen, Tobi, before I hand it off to Dyer, what kind of map do you think Xeno would have picked here?
I have absolutely no clue. We have seen different Dark Lord maps. I think at the beginning of AHL we have seen Wrecker's Yard, which is a popular map for nearly every killer. But we have also seen Temple of Purgation for the Dark Lord, so it's... I don't really know what to expect. It could be a really weird map choice, something Calamity is not really prepared for, but we could see a pretty standard map like Wrecker's Yard, for example.
All right, and it looks like we are in the corn again, and I can't tell quite what map we're on yet. It looks like it is... Honestly, I still can't tell. We definitely have corn. Okay, this is Rotten Fields. Very interesting choice here from Xeno. It looks like the killers on both sides just really like the corn today, Dyer.
Yeah, we're staying on the farm as everyone seems to really, really enjoy it here. I was a little bit surprised as well when I saw the Rotten Fields coming out, because we do have not so much safety from time to time in the corn, so it will be very interesting how the bats are working out, how we are using the Hellfire, and the answer to that is, for the side of Calamity at least, that it's going to be played very safe, dropping the pallet early on. We have seen in the Mastermind set Calamity suffered a lot from having a difficult early game, so now they're trying to prevent the injuries and the downs as long as possible. Here a quarter of a generator coming out on the singular survivor, and the other two that are teaming up, they're already looking forward to the first generator. Blood Favor is in clutch though, so this is going to be a little bit tricky, but the detective's hunch is going to help a little bit with the totem call out. Very nice vault here by Hein into the dodge of the Hellfire. This looks much more confident compared to the previous trial, and is exactly what Calamity needs, even though Hein is now going down here.
Yeah, first down for Xeno. The first generator was doubled here, but that was a very nice Hellfire there on that pallet from Xeno. And Hein has already thrown a few of these precious pallets on the Rotten Fields map, and those pallets are in short supply on this map. It's going to be Rocket now stealthing to try to get that Deliverance charged. And I think I'm starting to see why the Rotten Fields map was selected, Dyer. Xeno has opted to not use Corrupt Intervention, thinking that he can rely on the bat form to quickly find a survivor, and I think he was correct about that. He's now taking up a position on the Harvester to see if he can find the unhooker, but Rocket is already in there. It was great stealth from him, able to evade Xeno and go in for a free save. So only one stage gotten so far, and it should be the Deliverance coming out as long as Hein can last a little bit here.
Now back to the two survivors here that are trying to protect each other. Rocket came in, giving Hein a little bit of help, going to take the hit with the Hellfire. And we remember this pallet has been thrown and broken earlier, so Rocket is going down onto the floor here. Second generator in exchange for this down though, making a little bit of progression for Calamity. The third generator following right after. So the signal is clear. Yo, Elysium, you might have a little bit of an advantage here early on with the two stages, and you might have a reason to feel kind of good about your vampire performance so far, but don't think that you are having the dominant role here. 3 generators completed, the reset coming out as well, so Calamity playing this really, really well. Hellfire coming out once again, Marco able to dodge it, and in the distance we have the For the People coming out, so making sure that our survivor cannot be tunneled immediately and instead spreading the hook stages a little bit. Xeno seems to agree to this offer though. Rocket is going to be the one that is now going to be in the chase here, and that's going to be Pedro taking the injury as well. Very well done so far.
Yeah, another good play there from Calamity to make sure that a fresh survivor goes down. Earlier in the game, it is more important to make sure that your teammates aren't getting tunneled than it is to protect the fresh hooks. You'd almost always rather have a fresh person go up on hook than have somebody getting tunneled. The fresh hooks only really become a protection objective once you get very late in the game. So that's going to be teleport to the window from Xeno. It's going to block it with that purple add-on that he has there. Now back into the bat form here. He's going straight back to the hook. Maybe he wants to try to tunnel out Pedro here or get his final fresh hook. Depends on who is here. Maybe looking for Marco here. He's going to ignore the injured survivor, and yes, it is going to be Marco found here. He's going to go to the Harvester. Maybe a balanced landing there. Yeah, balanced landing off the ramp of the Harvester, going over towards this TL that we have not actually used yet in this game. Wolf Lunge is going to come out, and Marco with the flare. Very nicely done from him, and that's going to be Xeno forced to leave and go after a different survivor. So no fourth fresh hook for him.
Short cycle back onto Rocket. I called out the broken effect earlier with For the People for whichever reason. I meant to say Deliverance, and this is spreading the pressure that I was talking about. May you all forgive me. Rocket though, after using his Deliverance on a good run here once again, it's the second time that we see him in a good run here so far, and this is, as we talked about in the previous set as well, Calamity really needs this. Calamity needs to make something happen in these mid-game chases, wasting some time from Xeno, putting it into the generators. The efficiency is definitely there. You can tell that Calamity is constantly pressuring these generators, but now where Rocket is entering the second hook stage and facing elimination in 70 seconds, you really need to make sure that the other 2 generators, Prion, are basically flying here.
Yeah, Calamity needs to keep up the gen pressure here. If they stall out while they have survivors dead on hook and injured on the map, it's going to be an opportunity for Xeno to 4K here even, and that's going to be Marco taking a Hellfire hit on the hook. Xeno wasn't able to aim it to hit both of them, but Marco is just going to go down. He's going to be slugged here. Xeno smells blood in the water, and he wants to get multiple downs here. And that's going to be a miss on the swing there. Rocket with the amazing reaction time there, able to get back over the pallet. Xeno now back into bat form, pursuing Rocket. He has another filler pallet here with these hay bales. Hellfire going to come out, and a very nice flick there from Xeno. Gets it over the hay bale and predicts Rocket's pathing, Rocket's pathing there. And that is not an easy survivor to predict. Rocket, one of the best 1v1 players we have in this tournament. And he's going to be up on his 3rd hook now. It's going to be the first sacrifice for Xeno with 1 generator to go.
And usually whenever it's coming into the 3-1 situation, it is going to start the downhill very rapidly as you're having a lot less efficiency on the survivor side. Important dodge here by Pedro. It would have been so punishing for Team Calamity to get down onto the floor there. Nice read with the Wolf as well, expecting that Zeno would try to double back into the Chucky. Very important chase by Pedro. Hein is being back to fully healthy. Zeno though on the tail already of the next survivor. That is going to be Marco here on the Harvester, and using this corner here next to the lockers to perfectly dodge out Zeno in the wolf form. And now the time is not enough to go for the chase there, because you have to keep in mind and you have to constantly calculate these seconds that Calamity is handing you. You are aware that the other two survivors are instantly jumping on the generators here, so Zeno needs to start splitting himself basically between two locations on the rotten fields here. Back to Marco now in the bat form. Hellfire to gain a little bit of time, not going to be enough. Quick look back onto the generator. It's important that this one is coming through, and that's going to be the case. Even thinks that he has the time to go for the pickup here, as he now is able to keep Calamity a lot more busy, and the calculation turns out to be correct. 60% on the generator in the distance. Prion, slowly we are entering the question, is Calamity even going to take stages out of the door here?
Yeah, and now it's going to be Pedro, the injured survivor, in chase at this terrible pallet. He's going to smartly hold W from it, gets around the wolf lunge there. Very nice pathing from Pedro, and he's going to make it over to this other filler pallet with the hay bales. Actually doesn't have the distance for it, but notably dire, Pedro is dying all the way away from the gens and all the way away from the hooked survivor, and that is going to be Hein finishing the last generator. Is he going to be able to get the unhook? We can't really be sure, but Dire, this is where the good survivor teams are separated from the great ones. All of the pallets are gone. Can you make something out of nothing in these chases? And multiple times already, we've been seeing Calamity get incredible dodges onto Zeno's powers, and that is the only reason they've been able to finish these generators here from that time that they've been able to waste.
It is a very difficult question indeed here. I mean, that we have the final generator is definitely going to do a lot of work here. It now means that Elysium has to take stages out of the door, so you have the chance for an endgame speedrun, and I think that was Hein just being located. The chance would be now to take the hatch or the exit gates after the hatch has been closed. It is now all the generators done, so we would actually count the hatch in case you're new and don't know yet. In case there are generators standing still, a hatch escape is not going to influence the score and is treated like a 4K, and unfortunately Hein is also not able to rescue Pedro here, so it is going to be the first 4K of this grand final. But luckily, with all the generators finding the full completion, so there is at least something on the horizon as a slight chance that Calamity can use on the killer side.
Yeah, and I think Elysium and Calamity can both be pretty happy about this result. Calamity was in a pretty bad spot, so I think they can be happy that they were able to finish all of the generators. But also, we have seen the Dracula get ran a little bit in the previous some of the previous sets that we've seen out of Elysium and Eternal. So a 4K on any generators, or even none at all like this result, I think Zeno can be pretty happy with that as well, because a lot of these survivors are extremely good at running against the Dark Lord. So now, as we're going to be flipping the sides here, Tobi, what do you think Calamity needs to do to meet this result?
Calamity needs a really, really good killer performance. Ideally, a 4K on one generator remaining to win this set. But it's going to be really, really difficult. We have seen the power of the Dark Lord switching between his bat and the wolf form, controlling the map with all the mobility and speed his kit has to offer. The Hellfires sniping survivors, camping on pallets or on check spots. It's going to be really, really difficult, and we will see whether Obi is up for the task or not, because we have not seen him play the Dark Lord so far. This is what really not bothers me, but what I'm really interested in. how good is Obi's Dark Lord? We see him loaded up in the lobby already, so Obi will be the player who will take control of the Dark Lord, but we have not seen it so far. What do you expect from Obi in this trial?
I'm expecting Obi here to very quickly find a first chase with the bat form. And honestly, if I know Obi and what kind of killers he likes to play, I would actually expect him to use the wolf form more than the vampire form. The wolf form is quite similar to the other hero or the other killers that Obi loves to play, like the Mastermind and the Blight. It's like the little dashes are very similar to Wesker. And I would say that Obi is probably going to be very good at using those around the tiles of Rotten Fields. We did see Xeno get like juked quite a bit when he was using that wolf lunge, but I wouldn't say that the same thing will happen to Obi.
Yeah, I totally agree. Obi should be really familiar with the kit of the Dark Lord because, as you said, it's really similar to the Blight, the Masterminds with all the dashes. Obi likes those high mobility killers and is really familiar with them. However, we have a really competent survivor roster in Xeno, Pedro, iPick, and Swatter on the other side. And they have played some Dark Lord sets before in this tournament and even scrimmed it a lot, I assume. So they should be able to counteract the movements of Obi in this set. But only time will tell how this set will play out. I do expect Elysium to be a little bit more passive than Calamity was, because they like to play the sets kind of in a controlled way. So I expect Obi to be aggressive, but Elysium will be a bit more careful in their chases, I assume.
Yeah, and Toby, I think I would have to give the favor in this set over to the Elysium survivors. Remember, this is the survivor team that gave up only a few hook stages to Nightlight's Dark Lord in the lower bracket finals. I would say that they're probably still riding that high on the survivor side for this Dracula set, and I would expect them to be very confident in chase. Probably making good use out of the very few pallets on this map. And we already saw that from Calamity. Where these games are decided is when the survivors are running out of resources, how much time can they still buy just with windows and juking? And I think these survivors from Calamity, or these survivors from Elysium, my bad, are definitely going to be up to the task.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I'm hyped for the second trial of the Dark Lord set. Let's see whether Calamity can pull this off and turn it into a win, and maybe we have a tie after the set, or Elysium will take the lead again and push us to a 0. But let's hand the mic over to our wonderful league commissioner, Direwolf.
Thank you so much for that insight about the fourth trial that is ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. Calamity so far not looking too strong, at least when we are talking about the plans they made for the grand final. The Mastermind didn't really work out, and now you're facing a difficult trial here on the killer side. You basically need to keep all the survivors in the trial, and then you only reach the tie condition, so there needs to be a non-repaired generator on top the 4K that is needed. And Prion, that is really not the win condition you want to face when you're loading in as Dracula against Elysium.
Yeah, Dire, the Dark Lord is quite a strong killer, but against survivors of this caliber, it is not going to be easy. And Obi, already into the wolf form here, he's going to be using that smaller stature to get a hit on iPick there. Doesn't even really need to break the pallet. iPick now holding W toward the shack. Teleport comes in from Obi. It's going to block up that window with that purple add-on. And he's actually also got the teleport range add-on, so going fully into that bat form teleport type build is Obi. iPick using his Lithe, going to hold W away from that tile, but a nice bat form going to come in from Obi, and that's going to be the first down with the Hellfire. Very nice tracking there onto iPick, and that's going to be a relatively quick first down compared to the last game for Obi.
A little bit of a setback here on this generator. This is what Calamity needs, and Obi is certainly feeling good that there's at least some extra seconds that he just gained from that eye pick in the distance. Still on the hook. We heard it from your predictions, guys, expecting Elysium to come in a little bit more passive. So far, we are seeing them though with the pressure here. So potentially in the mid game, they will have this extra reset to make sure that it's not going to end in some sort of snowball as we have seen in the previous trial here. First generator is going to be completed. iPick not going to be unhooked yet, so it has been the priority on the generators, and that is very understandable here. You want to make sure that they are coming out, and the second one already here. Very nice work from Team Elysium. Sometimes you're asking yourself, how are they doing all of this while they are saving, while they are chasing, and while they're having so many other objectives to do. iPick here with a very wonderful mind game on this very unsafe pallet. This is peak quality, but unfortunately the strike with the Hellfire is bringing it to an end.
iPick knows that he can greed that pallet because he has the decisive strike there, going to slap Xeno with it and immediately use his lie. That's very nicely done. But unfortunately, the Dark Lord can turn into bats and catch up to you in an instant. And yeah, that's going to be Obi there getting the second down onto iPick. Another generator is being doubled in the distance. And that is going to be them going down to 2 generators remaining. But I think it's pretty obvious now, Dyer, what Obi's strategy here is. He wants iPick out of the game, going to try to stall out at 1 generator remaining probably, and get it into the 3v1 if he can.
The 3v1 would be such a turning point in this trial here, and we have seen in the previous one how important it is to cut down the efficiency of the survivor team, how important it is to make sure that you have this elimination early. The question obviously is there enough time to tunnel out these survivor? Because in the meanwhile, Elysium is going to crank these generators. Having the injury onto Swatter certainly helps there, and now using the bat form to even go back to the hook stage in case there's a potential rescue. In case you're new to DBDL, it is not allowed for the survivors to use the self-unhook mechanic unless Deliverance and Xeno Hellfire into the down in front of the hook. Ladies and gentlemen, have we just witnessed how Elysium has handed over the set point to Calamity? They could still go for 2 generators to have the tie here, but Prion, this is on edge now.
Yeah, huge mistake from Xeno there to get hit by the Hellfire. The Hellfire the attack cooldown is just not long enough, and that allows Obi to deny the unhook in time. Now, the time between attacks for the killer, if it's a basic attack, then Xeno is able to get the unhook there, as we see the Deliverance pulling him off of the hook. And now, in the 3v1 with 1 generator remaining, this is still very doable for Elysium. Sprint burst here from Pedro. He's stealthing in the corner, not found by Obi there. That stealth is going to be so important in the 3v1 here, especially when this gen has progress, Dyer. Elysium is not out of this just yet.
Absolutely not. And even if they only take generator number 5 and push it into the tie here, knowing that it's still the 1-0 and that Calamity has only gotten a little success, would be, I think, a very nice recovery that Elysium can handle as a win mentally for themselves. Obi going to destroy the Shack pallet, a very valuable resource. Good for Elysium that they kept it for so long. Still making some use out of it, and Obi needs to quickly get into the chase with a survivor here, finding Swatter now in the bat form. Hellfire going to miss, was a little bit too greedy there, wanted to make it quicker instead of going for the safe variant, and it is the guaranteed tie now as they have gotten all the generators. But I feel like Calamity not using the chance after Xeno's mistake and getting these 2 survivors both together. Prion, I don't really see it happening.
It's over, Dyer. The door is open. Any of these survivors leaving is going to be the set going to Elysium. And I wonder if you saw it too, Dyer. The critical moment where Elysium won this set. It was Pedro's stealth in the edge map. That generator was about 50% progress, and Obi was completely unable to find that survivor. had to just leave the generator and then chased somewhere else across the map. And that generator was the one that was finished. So many different things here that decide these games. And it's really all down to the survivors in this 3v1 scenario. How good is your stealth? How good is your chase? How long can you last when all the pallets are gone? And Elysium right now is really performing up to par. They're going to go up 2-0 in this grand finals.
Welcome back, everyone. Kinda halftime for Team Elysium, having 2 out of the 4 required set points, even though Calamity can pick 1 set to replay in case Elysium would win this grand final, as they have a little bit of an advantage coming from the winner bracket here. Good start. Xeno instantly going to take the injury, even though it's unlucky for Obi that the survivor team was a little bit quicker on finding the box there. Yet good that you're having this survivor in chase from the get-go. We are having no one escapes death once again for the end game here, so Elysium seems to be considered still as a very, very strong survivor team, and that's going to be the down right here, unexpected, as Swatter was supposed to take the injury here and keeping Xeno running, meaning, Prion, that 2 survivors were involved in this first chase and not so much gen pressure is going on at the moment.
Yeah, dire, and also Obi was immediately able to find the survivor with the box, and it looks like he's already going over towards the other place where the box respawned after the chain hunt. I'm not sure, he's not going to have time to go for an interrupt onto that box, but he is going to find a chain onto iPick there in the shack. This down was so early, Dire, and I just want to mention, Dire, that we are in the corn again. You would think that these games were taking place in like Latin America, the way they are introducing corn into the economy at an astounding rate.
Yeah, right. It's very, very fun how they are all considering the farm here as the one and only map to play the grand final. Once again, dear viewers, in case you don't like this map or this environment, the teams are selecting the map along the killer picks, so it is not our fault. Xeno, though, has the fault of going down pretty quickly at the beginning, and Obi very understandably going for the camp here, as he really earned himself quite some time. But Pedro is coming in, saving the day a little bit, making sure that it's going to be a trade. So Xeno back on the feed. He has the dead heart as well. Perhaps he can make something out of it, or the killer just rotating back, accepting that this trade would cost too much time. And also very often we have the deliverance survivor rotating in first, which is the case here, but teams are opting to go with the unbreakable pretty often on the deliverance survivor as well. So it is fair that Obi assumed here that if he would slug for too long, then this survivor would stand up himself. So understandable decision right here, accepting that the shack panic will be in reach for iPick here, getting this valuable resource out of the way. Though Pedro now off the hook with the deliverance, so everything going according to plan of Elysium now.
Yeah, so 2 hook stages so far for Obi. That's going to be Xeno healed in the distance here. He's going to be able to find iPick over at this harvester, and it looks like Xeno is also up there on the hill. Obi struggling to try to find more pressure here, but he is actually going to find the box. That is exactly the kind of pressure he needed. That's going to significantly slow down the gens until the survivors can solve that box elsewhere on the map. That's going to be Pedro actually finishing the shack gen right under Obi's nose. Nicely done there. It's going to be 3 generators remaining for the survivors. He's going to eat a chain though and be stuck at this really horrible pallet. Goes down right on top of it, and survivors are nearby Dire, so he can't pick up just yet. Swatter doing the box in the distance. iPick gonna get hit through that window. I thought he had the distance for that.
I thought so as well, but it's going to come through, and the next chain potentially. Now Obi decides against it, confident that he can make something work here on this TNL wall. iPick showing us a good run again, especially on these difficult tiles with the 50-50 potential he's showing off. And once again, it's going to be the successful read of the killer, and it's going to not land as he's faking the window vault. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a good start from Team Calamity, but now I pick again and again. Someone stop this man and take Obi out of the misery. Finally the down coming through, but this is so punishing, and the flashlight at least was attempted here by Pedro, even though he has to accept that he came too late. But Elysium, after a somewhat difficult early game, back on the feet here.
Time and time again, Dire, Elysium is coming up with these incredible chases against Obi. That was, what, a series of 3 fakes into a whiffed attack on that TL wall? Or iPick just cannot lose a 50-50 today, as Swatter going to be solving the box again across the map. Obi really wants to protect this main gen, but I mean, he's running out of time, Dire. He's got 3 fresh hooks, but with 2 generators to go and no gen slowdown perks to help him here, there's not much left to protect.
Very tricky now for, or considering the situation here. iPick once again with the attempt of camping this survivor into the second stage. Hopefully it's going to work out this time, because otherwise it's the second time that Obi is trying to protect the hook stage, thinking that he can force the survivor closer into the elimination, and it's not working out. That's going to be the injury right here that Pedro is taking, accepting that there's not going to be the save possible. iPick going into the second stage here, so at least something is now working for Obi. The question is, can you really eliminate that survivor before we are reaching the end game? Mid has, or main has, a lot of progress here on the generator. Nice dodge now coming out from Xeno on top, and Obi, we see it has to move further and further away from the hook as he needs to protect these generators and keeping these survivors under control. Kinda overcommitting now onto Xeno, moving very far away and offering the chance to potential rescuer. But Elysium, they are prioritizing the generators right now on the top side together. Generator number 4, and in the main building, half of a generator done. Prion, this elimination, successful or not, might have a very huge impact.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision from Elysium to let iPick die here. I'm assuming they are going to let him die because we have 2 survivors here at Shack, and then Xeno. Actually, it looks like he might be coming in for the save now. He doesn't have a lot of time, though. This could be body blocked if they don't save him right now. He actually hits the hook survivor there. No way, Dire. Xeno not even taking a trade, and that's going to be iPick off of the hook in another chase. The chain whiffs as well. Obi is looking panicked here as he now can't complete this kill onto iPick. He's forced to leave and go back to the generators.
Yeah, this kinda just costed you a great result for Calamity here. Very sad to see that, but Obi is rotating, luckily in time, back to the main building. Maybe once again the final chance to strike here onto iPick. That is not really the survivor that is worth the most stages, and yeah, you would get the elimination on this survivor, but is it worth it? If Elysium is going into the end game, isn't it more important to keep an eye onto Swatter, for example, who is 3 stages? He's moving away from the generator as first one, though. You really want to keep him hidden, so not sure if this elimination was the prime target here for our killer as we are now entering the final minutes of this game. That's going to be Pedro with 2 stages. Swatter is hiding, trying to work out the hide and seek here. We have a few scratch marks. Is that Swatter? It is not. It is Xeno in the main building. Swatter nowhere to be found. Elysium with a perfect endgame strategy.
Yeah, and Dire, you know, this actually could have been a little bit better for Elysium. They made a bit of a mistake there. iPick had decisive strike, and he canceled it by touching the generator. So they honestly could have 4 outed here if they had done the generator as 3 and then let iPick use his decisive strike. But looks like they were so confident going into this endgame in the 3v1 that Pedro going to be solving the box off in the distance. Xeno going to finally be downed here at the cow tree. The pallet is down but not broken, and it looks like they're opting to do that main building door. So it's going to be Swatter, the fresh hook, and I believe they're just going to take this result and go with it, Dyer. So 2 escapes for Team Elysium. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stages on 3 survivors. I think Elysium can be pretty proud of this result. It could have been a little bit better, in my opinion, but still, great play from them and really worrying if you're a Calamity fan.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not what you were looking for here in this trial on the Calamity side. You really wanted to strike, right? You're down 2-0, so a little bit more would have been very nice. Let's see what our analyst Tobi is thinking about the trial that we have just seen. Guys, take it away.
Hello there, back on the analyst desk. I think we have seen a pretty interesting trial. Obi had a really good first chase and was controlling the game for a vast majority, but at the moment he could not deny the unhook onto iPick. It was really clear to see that Elysium was gonna take advantage of it. And they played this perfectly. They hit Swatter in the late game and he managed to get out without getting hooked once. And so we are looking at 7 stages in 3 fresh. This is not impossible for the Calamity Survivor roster, but it's also not the win condition they were hoping for, I think, Prion.
No, definitely not. But for the killer that is going to be playing for Elysium here, it looks like we're getting into the lobby, and it is going to be Xeno playing the Cenobite. And I would not have it any other way if I was Elysium. When Elysium has the momentum and Xeno is rolling, it is extremely difficult to stop them. So what I'm thinking here, Tobi, is that Xeno, he needs to find the box early. He needs to get off to a good start. And that's exactly how a lot of these pinhead sets tend to go in comp. And this is part of where the map choice might kind of go in favor of the team that picked the map, Calamity. A big thing in these Cenobite sets is the box logic. I know that these comp players will often just spend hours playing Pinhead and just loading into games against bots with Shroud offerings to control the spawns so that they can know every single possible place that the box can spawn depending on where they spawn as the killer. So not knowing what map you're going to be playing Pinhead on might really throw off the killer's ability to practice those box spawns. So I'm very interested to see if Xeno is actually able to find the box this game since they didn't choose the map.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw it in the previous trial that Obi was able to find the box nearly instantly, or at least the survivor who found the box in the meantime. And this should also be the game plan for Xeno. Finding the box early, getting some pressure across the survivor roster with the chains, and denying those generator progress at the early stages of the game. And keep up the pressure against this really competent survivor roster of Calamity. This result is not unplayable for Calamity, but as I said, it's also not what they've hoped for when they picked the Cenobite set. Let's see whether they can turn this around or whether Elysium will go up 3-0 in our best 7. And without further ado, Direwolf, take back your seat.
Thank you so much, Tobi. Yeah, we need something for Team Calamity, that's for sure here. Otherwise, we are already talking about 3 out of 4 set points for Team Elysium. And then it starts getting a pretty difficult challenge here. Let's see what Calamity offers on the survivor side. Hopefully, and first of all, a strong early game, as you can really put yourself in a dominant position when you are having good runs from the get-go. You can put all your survivors on individual generators, getting quite some progress into it. So Marco, after taking the unavoidable first hit, hopefully able to keep Xeno busy now.
And it looks like Xeno actually not opting to go for the box at all. He just wants a first good chase onto Marco here. Going to land a very nice chain on the opposite side of the pallet there, and that's going to be the first down. Very good chain there from Xeno. That is not an easy one to hit. Through the tile over to the other side of the pallet, and he has to 180 the camera as well to hit that chain. So good first down there from Xeno. It's exactly what he wanted. Yeah, he was not interested in going for the box at all, Dyer, and I'm interested to see how that plays out here as Marco goes up on the...
First hook stage pretty quickly into the trial. Grim coming out and very much hype for the coup de grace that really sneaked itself into the tournament here. It is more and more of an option to get some swings and a down a little bit earlier that can really make the difference. What appears to be a meme perk sometimes is on the highest level actually a really strong resource. Marco on the hook still. Xeno wants to make sure that he's potentially finding an incoming rescuer using the chain as an info tool and spotted the survivor behind the main building generator, but no chance at the moment to go all the way over there. I was about to mention it is quiet about the generator counter in the corner, but we can see Calamity was not wasting time at all. They will get 3 generators in best case in exchange for the second hook stage, but I'm a little bit worried about the potential tunnel out onto Marco that will happen after that.
Yeah, and Dire, Xeno's build is actually exactly built for this. Not only does he have the coup, which will make those later in the game chases go a lot faster for him, he also has the no one escapes death to make sure that he can get downs in the end game extremely easily, and the original pain to make sure that when Marco gets unhooked, he is immediately put into the deep wound. We'll have to see if he actually elects to use that, as it looks like he's committing elsewhere on the map right now, away from his hooked survivor. And yeah, that's going to be Marco unhooked here, and looks like he's chasing a healthy survivor right now. Marco actually fully healed there with the resurgence and will make it combo. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there from Xeno to leave the hook.
Maybe, yeah, being a little bit too optimistic. Now we have 4 healthy survivors. Rocket just took the injury. That means that he has a little bit of distance. And now, though, with these slowdowns on the chains, coup de grace might be an option here. Xeno not going for the swing, surprisingly, and then missing the chain after that. It's looking a little bit tricky here. Dropping the shack pallet, it's just another filler in worst case. So make sure that you're getting the distance and the time waste that it's going to give you. Rocket getting rid of the chains real quick. That costed him some distance, though. Is it time for the coup de grace to strike? That is going to be the interesting question, and it is indeed not making the window here as Xeno is able to lunge extra long. 4th generator has been completed in the meanwhile in exchange for the 3rd hook stage now. But the good news for Calamity, really, Marco is safe. Marco is not eliminated, and I really think we are not going to see Marco until the end game, where he will try to body block and make sure that the killer has to take the elimination on Marco as priority over any survivor that is granting some stages.
Yeah, and Xeno is very happy about where this hook is, Dire. It's right in the middle of multiple generators, and he's got good vision onto these survivors here. He finally remembers that he has Grim Embrace and is going to activate it, looking for a chain onto Pedro right there. And yeah, Xeno, I believe he's going to be very content to play around this hook, Dire. He's still got 5 stacks of that coup de grace. He still has Noed in his back pocket for if they do that last generator. But as we saw when Rocket was put on the hook, they do not have a ton of progress on this last generator. They have sort of 3-gened themselves here around this hook. We see that Pedro is across the map doing the box, and the other 2 survivors are both over here by this gen. So now Xeno knows which side of the 3-gen he needs to play for, going to go back over towards the hook, maybe forcing Rocket into the 2nd stage here. That would be huge.
Back onto the main building and the potential rescue. Pedro is going to take the trade here, getting the survivor off the hook, and that's going to be an instant pickup, as Xeno is also aware that we are only talking about 7 stages on 3 individual survivors. So getting these fresh hook, getting these trades is something that is bringing him closer and closer towards the win condition. In fact, if Pedro would die on hook, we are already already having the tie condition for Xeno here. So it's very understandable that he's just going to take what Calamity is giving him. Grim Embrace doing a little bit of a work here as well. We have shifted the hook stage a little bit to the other hook now, where we had the most impact on the generator so far. Very smart rotation by Xeno here. But if Calamity is not somehow having a longer chase now and an absolute miracle magic efficiency on the gens, then Xeno should be able to take control here. So it might be even a strategy or a plan for Calamity to pull back entirely, going to reset Pedro and Rocket when the broken status effect is removed, and then coming back in altogether.
Yeah, Dire, and I just want to go back to that unhook that came in onto Rocket. That was a costly mistake from Calamity. It wasn't supposed to be a trade. That was going to be a double save that they were setting up, but they just weren't in position, and Xeno took advantage of it. So it's going to be another hook stage for him. He has found Hein here. Hein is the last stack of Grim Embrace, so that honestly could be huge here for Xeno. But he knows that if he fully commits to Hein here, he's leaving the generators wide open, and if he doesn't end this chase quickly, the Grim Embrace is going to come out too late, as he continues to just miss these chains onto Hein. Needs to be a little bit more accurate than that, and the Champion of Light Blind coming out from Hein there, that's got to be frustrating for Xeno. That perk is very annoying to deal with for killers. Pedro doing the box again across the map. Good teamwork here from Calamity. Hein continuing in the chase now, going over towards the shack where there really are no more pallets over there, and it looks like they have the Gen 99, Sire. They're doing totems that are currently dull in an attempt to get rid of Noed or maybe manipulate its spawn. So the final generator is going to pop here. Hein, fresh hook again in chase in the end game here. He needs to come up with something big. He's got the cow tree, but he already used his exhaustion perk. Going to drop the pallet immediately and go for another blind. Who Noed is not what you want to be facing as a survivor, but Xeno misses another chain here at the cow tree. He's going to need a hit, but he can't have a hit taken for him with Noed. They've got to know that this perk is active, and that's why they were doing totems. But Hein, he's just got nothing left here. He's eventually just going to get M1'd, and that is going to... They took out the Noed, Dire. The Noed is gone.
So they have the chance now to make one final strike. 5 stages overall, but ladies and gentlemen, on 4 individual survivors. Keep in mind, in the previous trial, we had 7 stages on 3 survivors, which is worth less. So we can maximum have 1 more stage for the survivor team here. Then Calamity is going to take the set point with 6 on 4. If it would go into stage 7, Elysium is taking it as win condition. 3 is counting the individual survivors hooked. Let's see. Pedro is going to receive the heal, and then we have 3 non-injured survivors. The exit gate is not so far. It could be certainly a little bit easier to make it over there at the shack, but we have seen worse in the past in these tournaments. But Calamity needs to speed up a little bit, because if Hein is reaching the 2nd stage, that's not going to be so much of a chance anymore. This would be the final chance they can hand out. So few seconds, and then it's the final chance to strike here. Hein will go into the struggle phase, I believe. So either it's 6 on 4 Prion and Calamity wins, or Elysium is 3-0.
Yeah, and here's how this shakes out, Dire. Hein does not go to 2nd there, so if they are able to trade Hein for Marco, who's on Death Hook, they will be able to win the game. Survivors going toward the gate now. He needs to hit a chain here. He needs the original pain. He's trying to wait out the borrowed time, but it's not going to work because Hein has hope. Hit taken there for Marco in the gate to save the Death Hook survivor as well. And hope gets Hein to the exit gate. He's able to redeem himself for that chase he had against the Mastermind in the end game. And I do believe, Dire, that is Calamity taking a set point.
That is Calamity indeed taking the set point. Very, very well done. Last second turn here. They were with the back to the wall. We talked about it in maximum into the 2nd stage on that hook, and then it was all about 3-0 Elysium or finally starting the comeback, and that's going to be the case right here. Congratulations, Calamity. Very, very well done. And before we are handing it back to our analyst, I'm going to touch real quick on one question that I have seen multiple times during the evening so far. It is the Joker set we are constantly talking about. So we had a double elimination bracket, and usually you are giving an advantage to the winner bracket team. This can go so extreme that we would play 2 grand finals. So if Elysium is winning today, we would play another grand final upcoming week, because Elysium would need to win twice as Calamity was staying in the winner bracket. This is a little bit over the top. That's also what our community feedbacked in the past when we did it, 2021. So we are now having the Joker set, a little bit of an advantage. So as soon as Elysium has set point number 4 and would walk home as a winner, Calamity can replay one of the lost sets. If Elysium is winning again, they are taking the tournament. If Calamity is taking it, they are stealing the set point, and we continue. This just as a little bit of context, and now we are telling you all about the scratched mirror Michael that has been selected by Elysium as we are entering the special rules of our Halloween sets, and Tobi is the perfect person to tell you all about the stats of the scratched mirror Myers.
Hello there. Scratch Mirror Myers is the little brother to our also beloved Halloween set, the Tier 3 Myers. It works different than usual Myers sets. So the rules are as followed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Prion. We will play on Larry's Memorial Institute, and the Michael Myers is not allowed to tier up, because he technically can't, because of the add-ons he's forced to bring, and because of the scratch mirror, he got the ability to see through walls and stalk the survivors through the walls of the Larry's Memorial Institute. So this map is quite good for the scratch mirror Michael. We will see a lot of jump scares. Also, the survivors are not allowed to bring any perks. So we will see Myers running around with his usual 4 perk slots, but the survivor team will have to play absolutely perkless. Did I miss something?
No, you didn't miss anything, and this is a very interesting set. Usually this is something that would go very poorly if you ran into a scratched mirror Myers that was bringing an offering for the Larry's Memorial Institute. You would be left floundering as he sees you and your teammates all over the map, unable to know where he is at any given time. But these survivors are really great at dealing with it, and it's actually more survivor-sided because their communication is just that good. You'll see a lot of survivors just stealthing near a pallet, and when you see survivors stealthing near a pallet as if they're not really doing anything, that means that none of them currently have eyes on the killer. And they won't go to do anything unless a teammate has confirmed where the killer is. So that's really where a lot of the teamwork in these stealth killer sets comes from. And what I'm most confused about here, Tobi, is actually like, why did Elysium pick this set? They were doing just fine on the Tier 3 Myers sets throughout the tournament. And we've already established earlier that this is a set where Calamity has quite literally zero staged the Myers.
Let me have a quick look, but if I'm not mistaken, Calamity did in fact ban the Tier 3 Myers? No. Elysium banned the Tier 3 Myers. Okay, this is interesting. I have no answer to your question, why Elysium decided to play the Tier 1 Myers instead of Tier 3. Maybe they have prepared something. I can say for sure that Calamity is prepared for the set, because we can see it already, because we have insight to the survivor lobby. You can currently not see it on screen, but all of the 4 Calamity survivors are wearing hats. And this is for a very specific reason. If you stalk survivors through walls as Scratch Mirror Myers, you can only see their silhouettes, and if all survivors wear hats, it's harder to distinct them. So you can use this to your advantage as a survivor team to play around this a little bit and confuse the Michael Myers player. I know Eternal did this in a different way. There is a skin line. I don't know what the skin line is called. It's just like a really white skin for 4 female survivors. I know Michaela is one of them. And they use this to make the survivors more lookalike, so it's harder for the Myers to distinct them.
Yeah, and so you're absolutely correct, Toby. It is a very crazy cosmetic meta that is coming out now. Every single survivor is wearing either a fedora or a bowler hat here. So, uh, Team Team Elysium is looking, or it's Team Calamity, sorry, looking very, very stylish as we go into this Larry's match. And as Toby said, the Michael Myers is going to have near constant aura reading on these survivors. So if they are all wearing a similar looking hat, he's not going to be able to tell who's who through the wall because they are all male survivors with a very similar skeleton. So we're going to be loading into the game now. This is truly going to be a very interesting one. Both of these teams have put up amazing survivor results against this Tier 1 Myers. So we're going to be throwing it back over to Dyer, our commissioner, as we get right into the game.
Tier 1 Michael, ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen it in your pub games from time to time, and then you were thinking, why is Claudette entering the next locker and staying there scared for 57 minutes? And then you perhaps also was wondering how you can do it a little bit better next time, and this is what these survivor teams will show you today, with a lot of coordination and a great communication. It might appear very unfair from the first glimpse to have no perks on the survivor side and a mirror Michael against you, but if you are having peak communication, you will do very, very strong. Checking a few lockers here, as it is a common strategy against the wall hack killer, as we could call him, to hide there. Not going to work out there. So I also think that Adam was hearing that Xeno is checking a lot of lockers here with Iron Maiden, if I saw that correctly. So we will see potentially a careful Team Calamity when we are talking about the lockers now, as this strategy is now called out.
Yeah, and it's going to be Xeno finding a survivor over here in the corner, and this pallet is extremely strong against the Tier 1 Myers. He is very slow and has a very reduced lunge, and so that's going to be Hind getting found, who is the obsession. That is exactly who Xeno wanted to find here, because he has the perk Play With Your Food, which is going to give him a stack of haste every time he ends chase with the obsession. And the Play With Your Food is extremely powerful here, especially because this killer is so slow. If he's able to get those stacks up, it is going to be integral to him actually getting any sort of downs in this game. Going to be mind gaming here. Chase not starting though. Hind smart to walk there and not start the chase music, but he is eventually going to give over those 3 stacks.
Rocket here in the next chase now against 3 stacks of Play With Your Food, sacrificing the so-called God pallet, as we are referring to those pallets that need to be broken by the killer with no chance to mind game around. So a valuable resource taken out. We are not having the successful strike on the survivors just yet, but we are slowly getting rid of some resources, and when you have this speed with the Play With Your Food, then you can later on get some important injuries or even some downs. Ace is aware that it's going to be a Xeno lurking around the corner. Back to the main room. Adam, Tab is that. Marco aware and making sure with this pallet drop that he's not going to end in a 2-tap here on the main room. So very well done by them. So far, I really, really love what Calamity is showing us.
Calamity is showing really great communication so far, Dyer. You can tell that every time Xeno is on vision from one of them, as the first hit is finally going to come in, every time Xeno is on vision with a survivor, all of the other survivors are perfectly reacting to it. It's just that Pedro HZ there got caught on a kind of unsafe pallet. Unsafe, at least against those 3 stacks to Play With Your Food, so now playing a much stronger pallet here, and he's just going to drop it, extending that chase a little bit longer. And if he's got more pallets over here, Dyer, I can't imagine that Xeno is going to want to keep up this chase. He doesn't seem to, though. Has a very weak window here to play, and that's going to be a hit coming in from Rocket, trying to get around him, or maybe use the stock to lose collision and get through him. Actually, he somehow gets around the body block. How did that even happen, Dyer? How did Rocket fail that body block?
Oh, I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication. It really looked like Rocket wanted Pedro to drop the pallet as he was double backing and then coming back in. So creating a longer loop basically and making it easier to have the body block. And I think the communication between Pedro and Rocket was not on point there. Very unfortunate because that was an avoidable down. And now, of course, Zeno also realizing, okay, Calamity clearly has a plan. They're coming out strong, but it's not impossible to stop them. I still get my injuries and even my first hook stage. So it is very, very well done here. Yet Calamity seems to be much stronger, much more confident after taking a set point for themselves, bringing it into the 2-1. So Zeno needs a few more mistakes from Calamity to strike, because this one time where a body block didn't work out is certainly not going to do enough for Zeno to take the upper hand here.
Yeah, and Zeno is now just stalking around this main building here. He's gonna get a surprise onto Marco there. Nobody had vision onto him there, which is exactly why we saw him actually able to get the jump scare onto Marco. That's gonna be another free hit, and these free hits really add up in this set because Zeno can just kind of stay around this library and keep constant aura reading on whether anybody is coming in for this save on Pedro HZ. They have Hein working a generator really far away because they don't want him giving any more play with your food stacks to the killer. That last hit on Marco did remove his only stack of play with your food, so he's going to be quite slow here in these next chases unless he can find Hein again.
And this is the big question now, right? How is Zeno calculating? Do you just go after Pedro as it would be really, really luxury? Or is Calamity somehow able to get the rescue here, make sure that they can keep him kinda hidden? It sounds easier than actually done against a wall hack killer to keep a survivor hidden, but maybe somehow they can make it happen with some lockers, with some body blocks, even though the Iron Maiden will be a dangerous factor. For now, we are going back to the main room and we don't see the 180 turn back towards Pedro. So Zeno realizes that Marco is worth 3 stages and is a fresh hook. So it's also nice to have this survivor on the hook here. Zeno able to zone the survivor a little bit, making sure that he kicks the pallet while the survivor is facing the exit gate. But then right after, it is going to be enough distance as Marco has the access to the pallet here. Difficult to mind game a wall hacking killer here, but the patience is really coming through and he stalks to get through Rocket and then into the grab. Prion, there was big brain play.
Amazing play from Zeno there. That's the second time he's used that this game. Michael Myers loses collision when he stalks, and he's able to use that to slide right through the potential body block and get the grab on the pallet. That's going to be 2 fresh hooks now for Zeno. And going into the end game relatively soon, this is very good for the killer. This tier 1 Myers is so weak in chase that just getting any amount of fresh hooks before the end game is a great killer result, especially against Calamity, who has 0 staged this killer earlier in the tournament. He's going to find Hein again. He's feeling confident to build these play with your food stacks, leaving the hook and betting on getting fresh hooks with Noed. He still has Noed in his back pocket. That has got to be a source of confidence here for Zeno, as he's going to chase onto Hein once again and immediately leave. That's 3 stacks of play with your food now, Dyer. And Zeno has been playing wonderfully so far on the Scratch Mirror Myers, and it looks like Rocket caught unaware there, jump scared by the killer. Maybe a miscommunication from Hein that the killer was off him.
Now the chase going on here with Rocket. Important that one of the strongest 1v1 player in the community is keeping it together. Rocket and Pedro again need to communicate well here, but again Calamity not able to go for the perfect body block here. That seems to be a little bit on the homework list for these players. In a grand final, you really want to make sure that these plans are working out. The good news are for Calamity for now that it's a fresh hook, so you have some some extra time for the generators. You have a little bit of a chance to get some extra pressure in on the generators here. But on the other hand, for Xeno, it's very nice to get all of these individual survivors. Hein is the only one who hasn't been hooked so far, and we have seen in the previous trial how difficult it can become when we are talking about multiple survivors being hooked according to the win condition. So it's good for both teams so far. If Calamity is now able to get this final generator and then taking stages out of the door, though, I think they will be in the advantage.
Yeah, Chase now onto Hein. He's finally going to take the hit onto him. That's going to generate him one more stack of that play with your food. So he's going to be at 2, possibly going into the end game here. He knows that generator over by the main area was the one that was close to being done. Hein almost caught unaware by the killer there, but he actually greeds that pallet. He's got a body blocker here in Pedro, but if that gen pops, the body blocker is not going to matter whatsoever. He's in the shower here trying to mind game this pallet. Sees them through the wall, but Michael, you're a little bit taller than the survivors. I think they can see you over those showers. As Hein now in chase with the Noed. Noed is on the field. They're trying to protect the fresh hook here. Can Xeno do it again? He's actually just going to not care about the buddy block and slash through Pedro HZ with Noed. Continuing chase onto Hein here, and Hein has got to remember, the killer has you on aura reading. He knows exactly where you are, and the door is actually already open, Dire. Great coordination from Team Calamity. They are able to get the fresh hook out of the door, and it looks like Xeno is going to have to be satisfied with just that death hook survivor in Pedro HC.
Yeah, very unlucky for Xeno here, because this survivor is only worth 1 additional hook stage. So we would be talking about 5 stages on 3 individual survivors overall. And I hope that they survive. Okay, they are aware that Xeno is lurking behind the corner here. So 1 additional stage for Pedro if the RNG hatch is not coming in clutch, because now we would actually count that as the survivors have gotten all the generators. But it is not going to be a gift from behavior, even though we are moving closer to Christmas here. So 5 stages on 3 individual survivors. That is a pretty strong result, because Tobi, bringing you back on the analyst desk, we have seen quite some high stage games from a tier 1 Myers.
You're absolutely right. Calamity played this wonderfully. To be honest, they managed to protect Hein in the end game, to not give additional stages, and they did it by sacrificing Pedro, who was already deaf on hook, and in the end they only dropped 5 hook stages to a tier 1 Myers, and I believe this is a very comfortable result to work with for Obi. I assume he's also bringing Noed, because this is like the standard perk you have to bring as a tier 1 Myers to get some more stages in the end game. But Calamity played this really, really well, utilized their strategy, the coordination and the teamwork to their maximum potential. They got caught off guard like 1 or 2 times. I remember Rocket running into the Michael, not respecting the fact that he could be already at the main generator. But besides this one little incident, Calamity played this really, really well.
Yeah, and I think it's also a result that Xeno can be relatively satisfied with. I mean, it certainly could have been better if he was able to find Hein, the fresh hook there, but also we've seen significantly worse killer results than 5 stages for the tier 1 Myers. So it's going to be the survivors of Elysium now playing against Obi on the tier 1 Myers, and this is not a set that Calamity picked. It is one that they are pretty good on for Survivor, but we have not really seen a ton of the tier 1 Myers from Obi so far. Maybe certainly not as much as we've seen Xeno on it. I'm interested to see what kind of build he goes for. I'm sure we'll have the play with your food. Everything else is kind of up to chance. The Noed is almost guaranteed as well, but seems like that 4th perk is up for discussion. It was Iron Maiden for Xeno, and honestly, I didn't see a lot of value from that, Tobi.
Absolutely not. I don't know whether Calamity expects the Iron Maiden, because we saw it 1 time already in a tier 1 Myers set, but it looked like they expected it, because they were not hiding in lockers at all. A few Myers players like to bring a No Way Out. Maybe this could come in handy. I have not looked at the perks yet, so we will have to see whether No Way Out could be an option. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Play with your food and Hex, no one escapes death, are like the gold standard perks for this tier 1 Maya set. As you use the play with your food to gain speed, because you're a really, really slow killer when you're not upgrading to tier 3. But the other perk slots are really up for debate. It's more like personal preference. I think we've also seen a basement Myers build with Iron Grasp and Agitation earlier in the tournament, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's really up in the air. Let's see what perks Obi will bring and how good his tier 1 Myers performance will be. Maybe it's enough to tie the set score to 2-2.
Yeah, and I believe, Tobi, it was actually Zeno that brought that basement build on the tier 1 Myers, and it went very poorly for him. So not something that I think we're going to be seeing again anytime soon. I remember he only got like a handful of stages in that game, certainly less than he just did with that build. But it looks like they're going to be going for the baseball hat meta with the survivor skins right now, rather than the fedora meta.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, Bill is not fitting in perfectly with his hat, but it's sort of a baseball cap. But we switched hat matters, you're completely right. We're also being informed by our lovely producer that it was indeed Zaka who brought the basement Myers build.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in that
I
match
remember
between
this one,
Elysium
yeah.
and Eternal.
Because Zaka was playing both Maya sets, the tier 1 and tier 3 Maya sets. This was between Elysium and Eternal, yeah. Absolutely right.
All right, so the offerings are in. We're going to be throwing it back over to Dyer, our commissioner here, as we get ready for this second set of tier 1 Myers.
Calamity fans, it is time to get ready because you might witness the comeback of your team, balancing out the 2 set points that have been taken so far by Team Elysium. And all you need to do is 6 stages overall, so basically the equivalent of 2 kills. Alternatively, you can go for 5 stages on 4 individual survivors, which is not the easiest task, getting all the 4 individual survivors across the board. But one thing we can tell, the No Way Out and Know It, they are going to do quite some work here for Team Calamity. And in case you're wondering, why is it now going to be such an endgame build? Isn't that unfair if Obi is playing killer second and can design his perk build perfectly for the win condition that we have to disappoint you? The killers and survivors have to hand in their build a day before the actual match, so Obi was expecting that No One Escapes Death and No Way Out would be good perks to bring here, and it is not a last minute change due to the win condition. That just as a background information while we are slowly going into our first chase here.
Yeah, and it looks like, Dyer, the baseball hat meta did not work out, as he's already found the obsession in Grenout, looking to generate those play with your food stacks. Grenout doing a good job of walking so far, denying the chase from starting so far, and yeah, he's able to mind game around this pellet. Chase still not starting, he's still walking, Dyer. This is such good pathing from Grenout. He's actually willing to actually take the hit instead of giving that play with your food stack. He's going to be giving one now, and I mean, I'm not sure if this is going to come back to bite him, but it is certainly an interesting idea from Grenout.
Very nice idea, yeah, that ground is coming out like this. It is maybe exactly what would make the difference. Going to go over here, realizing late that there's no door to exit this room, so he's then making a little bit of a turn here in the edge map palette. And this palette can be honestly everything. We have seen people standing on it for 2 minutes with the perfect patience in mind games, and we have seen chases coming to an end very quickly, so it's an unsafe parameter in the game. So it's understandable that they are going for the body block by Zeno and instead going with some extra distance. Though Zeno is now going to be the target of the aggression. The first generator is coming out, making it over to the God palette here next to the library. So Elysium also keeping it safe, making sure there's no chance for the killer to have a hook stage early on. And so far it looks kind of balanced to the previous trial.
Yeah, and the lack of corrupt intervention from Obi is maybe coming back to bite him here, as now he's happy to chase onto anybody, the injured Xeno, but he's also not afraid to just give tags out. As a second gen pops in the distance, he does have the Sloppy Butcher, which is going to significantly hinder any resets. Everybody injured now, Dire. That is not something you often see in these tier 1 Myers sets. So it looks like Obi no longer cares who he's chasing onto. He wants to start building those stacks of no way out. Xeno now in chase here. He doesn't really have that window to play. I don't think he makes this pallet either, and that is going to be the first down for Obi with everybody injured on the map.
Everybody injured. This is the important factor, right? And the difference to the previous trial. These survivors would need to pull back entirely from the generators and go for the reset. But then, hey, 1 second, we have wall hacking killers against us with the tier 1 Myers. So pulling back and going for the full reset is easier said than done and more a theory. So either these survivors are finding the chance somehow between these hook stages when Obi is busy carrying a survivor. That seems to be the case onto iPick now, who just received the heal and will now most likely be the responsible player to go for the unhook, or you're taking some safe edge map locations. Granout is very hectic here behind his pallet, expecting Obi to strike, and there we are having the reset. And instead of going for it aggressively, we are playing some jump scare simulator, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if it's going to be Halloween, and it's going to be, oh no, he messed it up. That is so sad to see it. It was such a good work here and such a good setup to strike. Unfortunately not able to do it. That is breaking my heart.
That is so anticlimactic, Dire. Can you imagine if you watched Halloween for 2 hours just to see Michael Myers whiff his knife? As the double save is going to come in now. That's going to be everybody injured once again as Xeno is taken off of the hook. And if he's able to stack up these fresh hooks here, I mean, the generator progress has been significantly slowed due to the spreading of injuries, and the survivors, they absolutely must prioritize these resets against this stealth killer with constant wall hacks. And this is where the Sloppy Butcher comes in, Dire, because not only does it make these resets very slow, it also makes them unable to 99 their heals. 99ing heals is a very important concept for comp players because it does not let the killer know that you are resetting until it's too late. So with the hemorrhage effect from Sloppy Butcher, they are just totally unable to do that, which is going to make it way easier for Obi to find these resetting survivors. So Chase now onto this shower pallet. He's not stalking to really try to mind game the survivor yet. He's not even in chase, actually, just running in circles right now, unable to even start the chase here. And it's going to be Grenout in chase, I'm pretty sure, the obsession. And he's doing such a good job to prevent the building of play with your food stacks, Dire.
Yeah, very difficult for Obi. The entire survivor team has gone for the reset, and looking at that 4-gen on the top side next to the main room, it is important that they are having non-injured and strong survivors on the task to repair the objectives. Grenout going to the edge of the map here, circling this pallet again and again. We can see Obi turning as well. The chase now going on again, but it's really not going according to the plan. Obi is wasting a lot of time here. Granout now overcommitting, as he was expecting that the killer would respect the pallet due to the potential drop. Good that we are getting the hook stage now, but Elysium definitely has a good position in this game because Obi is not looking too strong as well, and we are once again having the little bit of a Discord issue, so we are asking our producer to quickly restart the screen share here, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the short intermission on that. Granout here on the fresh hook. That also means a lot of time for these survivors, Prion. So if they are trying to work on these generators, this is the perfect moment to strike, as we can see here.
Yeah, and if you are Obi here, you need about one more fresh hook to try to set yourself up for a strong end game. Remember that he has the no-ed and the no way out here. So with the win condition at 5 stages, 3 fresh, he needs to beat that to win. If he's able to get those 3 fresh hooks and then go into endgame with the no-ed and a few stacks of no way out, I think Obi will be in a great spot here. But it looks like they are going to be going in for the save on Grenout right now. Another generator is done in the distance, and that is going to be Xeno getting hit, maybe surprised a little bit by the killer, just barely hit before he can make that pallet.
Barely hit indeed. Next injury here On Granite and Xeno, 50% of the survivor team in danger basically. Swatter and iPick are now the ones responsible for the body blocks, and they are instantly proving us. Let's see if Elysium is doing a little bit stronger with the body blocks. That's indeed the case. iPick is going to successfully protect the team member and adding the pallet on top to ensure a little bit of extra distance. But we are only talking about the 2 stages so far, and we need 5 on 4 different survivors at least. 6 overall would also guarantee the win, and Elysium is slowly but steady creeping in the progress onto the generators. Obi has had some moments during the mid game where it just took too long, where it was just too unsure, and also following survivors that were really able to take a lot of time from him, as Granite earlier. So we can only hope that he's going to pick it up a little bit, or that the know it, no way out combo is going to strike. Yep, that's the case now.
Yep, final generator is going to be done as the 3rd stack of No Way Out is achieved for Obi. Noed is active, Dire, and it looks like he is in chase with a fresh hook here in Swatter. That Dwight has not been found just yet. They're going to be trying to use the injured survivor for a body block. Grenout is going to go down, and it looks like he's actually just going to take the pickup onto Grenout. The totem is over here by the gate, and it's already cleansed, Dire. Very nicely done there by the survivors, but they are finally going to find out about No Way Out, and they are going to be stuck over by the gate.
That's going to be such an end game once again. I don't know why Elysium and Calamity always have to bring it down to the final seconds here, but it does show us why these 2 teams are in the grand final here. Dwight
it is currently
able,
tied now, Dire.
Yeah, it is tied, and Dwight is able to not take the injury. This is going to be huge, because now it's going to be an easier task, just resetting Grenout and then having 3 survivors coming in. iPick has only a few more seconds though. That's the difficulty here. Then we will talk about the next one. 4 stages actually. We are having 1 additional stage onto our survivor team before we are talking about the loss. So that is huge now for Team Elysium. A little bit of extra confidence in this end game here. Dwight circling and circling. We don't have stacks anymore of play with your food, so it's going to be slow Michael running after our survivor, but you don't really care about the body blocks, because any stage right now is going to be fine, because then at least you are having the tie. But you need someone, and if they are all going to hold W, and if they are all stronger and faster than you, then that's going to be pretty rough. Xeno here at the end of the queue, and that's going to be all the survivors walking out of the door. 4 stages is a better result than in the previous trial, so Elysium is going to bump it up to the 3-1 set point.
Wow, incredible job from Elysium there, 3-1. And it would have been tied if that survivor on the hook had gone to 2nd stage, but a very nice double save came in from Elysium. They're able to get the 4 out onto Obi, and yes, as Dire said, that is going to put us up to 3-1 in favor of Elysium. That is match point. The Joker set still needs to be used, but still, match point for Elysium going into, I believe it is the Halloween Spirit set, correct?
Absolutely, and we quickly need to touch on the special rule there for the Spirit set. Ladies and gentlemen, take out a notebook and a pen, and please listen very carefully, because we want to make sure that there are no confusions coming out. Both spirits in the upcoming trial will have Hex Haunted Ground. This is forced. They cannot bring any other hex perk. So the survivors know that these 2 lit totems are Hex Haunted Ground. And as a special Halloween rule, the survivors are receiving an extra goal. You need to cleanse Hex Haunted Ground before popping the 1st gen. That's the extra challenge.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be my first time casting one of these Halloween Spirit sets. I don't believe it was picked very often at all throughout the tournament. Maybe Tobi has some stats on that as the resident stats wizard. But I know this was the least popular Halloween set.
Yeah, I can look it up if you give me a second. We have seen two Halloween Spirits sets with Hex Haunted Ground equipped. Eternal played it against Severance, and we've also seen it in Infinity with Severance. So Severance were the ones to bring it out, but besides them, nobody seems to be interested in playing them. All of the matches ended in a 4K at one generator remaining. So this is what we are aiming for, the golden standard. I'm pretty hyped for this one because there is so much strategy going into a Hex Haunted Ground set because of the special rule. There are different strategies, like we try to 99 all of our generators and popping them all at once and hope for the best. Other teams prefer to just go for the totem immediately before they start any generators, but all the strategies come with their own risk. What do you think the survivor team of Team Elysium is going to prefer going into the set, Prion?
It is so hard to say, Toby, because I've never played in a set like this that had like a forced totem condition. But let's see. The survivors of Elysium here are going to be first up, and I would say that it's probably best to have a couple of survivors working on generators, and then maybe like a couple of people looking for the totem, and then you know that one of those survivors is going to get chased. So maybe you 99 the generators that you are working on and wait for the survivor in chase to be injured and then break the totem. That would probably be what I would expect is the best strategy here. But this is Dead by Daylight. Nothing is really ever going to go as planned 100% of the time.
Yeah, you're totally right. With this strategy you just mentioned, you would totally get the most value out of the condition you have. Because if you're injured, it doesn't matter if you go down with the haunted ground condition. So this would be the best approach for the survivor team of Elysium. Let's see how well prepared Pedro, Swatter, iPick, and Xeno are to face Obi's Spirit. If we disregard the fact that we are playing a special Spirit set, Obi should have the upper hand in this trial because Calamity used to play the Spirit a lot during AHL. And Obi even managed to take down Eternal on Spirit sets, so he should be quite comfortable going into this trial.
So it is going to be Obi on Killer once again, as we have the snake format as we move from set to set. So we're loading into the game just now. Dyer, what do you think is going to go on in the Spirit set?
Yeah, so far the Spirit has been a very interesting one. We have seen completely different strategies on the totems. We have seen multiple generators being brought to the 99. And so therefore, yeah, I would really like to see if we are going to have the same approach during the AHL, that we are bringing 2 or 3 generators to 99 and then popping the totem and then be like bam, 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 we're doing it all together. The other approach was the safety approach and basically spotting the totem, not touching it, and then only striking when the first injury or the first hook stage even coming out. So when the killer is kind of busy carrying one of these survivors. So more aggressive on the gens or more careful with the action being taken. These are the 2 approaches that we have seen so far throughout the tournament. And if I saw that right, we have a survivor instantly on the totem actually. So I do believe that Calamity, yeah, is taking it a lot more aggressive here, instantly saying as soon as the first injury is coming out, this is the survivor that is moving to the portal room. So it's going to increase the distance between the current killer location and where we are located as a team. It is only 60 seconds. We can deal with that. And if this is going to go successful and no one is going down, then I think Elysium made a beautiful start here.
Yeah, it is a good start for Elysium. They've already got that totem condition out of the way. They did it while a injured survivor was in chase. So as long as they can stealth out the remaining about 25 seconds of this haunted ground without anybody going down, they are going to be in a really good spot here. Obi checking the upstairs gen. That was Xeno there doing the upstairs gen with the balance landing. He's able to stealth away from the Spirit there. And it looks like Obi's going to be giving up on finding anybody and going right back to the hook.
Straight back here, doing a little bit of a checkup on these Elysium survivors. They are now scattering here, but it's not going to be the only exposed time they're going to suffer here with the haunted ground. The Dragon's Grip is also going to put some extra pressure up, though very often the Dragon's Grip more serving like an information tool as the killer, especially when being 4.4, not always able to instantly travel towards the generator that easily, not even with our ring here. DS Survivor is going to be in the next chase, so we could certainly say that the perk builds are going to work out in case Obi plans for the tunnel, but instead he's more scouting the mid area here, wants to make sure that the generators are staying under control, and that's honestly a very understandable choice so far. Finds the next survivor here, so far able to keep the survivors on 5 gens. Not finding the target here onto iPick would have been huge, but Obi is playing this pretty sorted.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight how good that pathing was from iPick. Obi correctly guessed that he was going to hold W through this filler pallet, but iPick was able to just make it over to the next filler pallet and like totally mind game the Spirit out of the phase there. So Swatter and Pedro now both injured in the terror radius. Phase coming in from Obi. He seems to be on the trail of Swatter here, who has to overcome, but he is injured, not going to make it anywhere, and the decisive strike has long run out. Going to be picked up there on a pallet, doesn't matter though. So it's going to be Swatter put up on his second hook, and Dire, no gens have been done so far.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy fact. I'm not entirely sure, or I would assume, knowing Elysium, that they're just working on a lot of individual generators, but usually we are having a little bit more on the generator front there from the survivor team, and even when we're skipping through them, we have the generator of Xeno that is now going to find the completion, and besides that, that's really it. So Obi has a very good result so far in the early game here, has spread quite some injuries, keeping the survivors busy. They were instantly going for the reset, which is a good idea against these strong killers such as the Billy, the Nurse, or for example the Blight as well. So the Spirit certainly among this group here, but it does come on the cost of the generator efficiency, and especially in the case that Swatter is dying on hook here. In case Obi is able to prevent that, if he now has a quick phase, but unfortunately there's still the recharge, so it is going to be the trade. Now going to be very careful that he's not going to hit the tunnel survivor too early. Pedro is staying in the basement, and if he's now able to go for Swatter on top, then Elysium might actually be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, going for the mind game on this pallet, and what happened there? Swatter running directly into the killer there out of the phase, but that is going to be the decisive strike from him. Going to escape from the shoulder of the Spirit there and make it into this middle of the map room. Oh, Dire, this room is so strong. It's got 2 pallets that are essentially God pallets, but Obi comes from the sky. What a phase from him, using that stairway in the middle to drop down on Swatter and eliminate him from the trial. That was insane map knowledge from Obi.
Very, very well done indeed. You can tell this player came prepared for the grand final because, ladies and gentlemen, the Hawkins National Laboratory and Spirit are really not going hand in hand in a usual tournament. So this is really the map that is coming out from the Halloween balance, and you can tell Calamity prepared very, very well. Losing the first survivor on 2 generators standing. What a great 4K here for Calamity in the upper position now, in the dominant position, and if you can continue this, perhaps even onto Pedro if you find him again, our injured survivor, that would be so good. That's going to be the lunge all around, even around Xeno, into the down onto Pedro. That was so stylish.
What a down there from Obi, able to lunge around the healing survivor and get another down onto Pedro. Every stage that he gets here now is so important. He really wants to secure this strong win condition for his team now that he has the survivors in the 3v1.
Back on the upper room here, Pedro being saved almost instantly, so let's see how this is going to work out. But so far the survivors are getting away. No, someone is being spotted right there. That's going to be the waving here, and everyone who wants to take already screenshots for Twitter call out, keep in mind the players are waving because they can then move instantly when they are on the floor without the animation. So Pedro wants to make sure that he's setting himself up for the potential pallet save, and we see that was the reason. Zeno is around. Obi obviously expecting that after seeing the survivor that is going on to the floor, emoting, knowing about this strategy, but Zeno is getting punished here with the injury. Is that going to be enough time for the pickup? The answer is yes. Both survivor back in the game. Is Obi able to catch one of these? And that's going to be Pedro straight back onto the floor here. All of this chaos might have given iPick some time though to potentially get the fourth generator out of the way.
Yeah, if iPick is able to finish that fourth generator, then we know that that play wasn't for nothing. Self-care coming out from Zeno over there in the corner, and iPick is working on the fourth generator. Now, is Obi going to be able to get there in time? I think he will be able to, Dyer. This is going to be close. Spirit is walking up towards the generator, and yeah, iPick can't commit to it. Going to have to use the sprint burst to get away from the generator there. Looks like Obi is going to commit time to kicking that one, applying the eruption and the dragon's grip, and now iPick, he has an opportunity to get a stealth play off here.
Yeah, now a little bit of hiding action here, hide and seek by iPick, and he's going to be successful with that. Obi might now think that the bottom side is free from the survivors, which would lead into a huge misconception on the killer's side, and then sometimes your calculation regarding the generators and how much time the survivors had is really off. He's still checking though, I really like that. Showing awareness that there was potentially a survivor sneaking into the back here, and he wants to check one more time, so he's extra sure, and the glass is a little bit dirty, so you need to check twice. But Obi now giving up on this generator and making sure that the midsection is under control as well. It is a difficult time at the moment for Team Elysium. Of course, you really want at least one more generator, because then in the upcoming trial, Calamity would need to get all 5 generators done, meaning your killer can play around a tight 3-gen and somehow achieving the tie condition for your team. But it is right now really looking like a 4K2 if Calamity is not making a mistake here.
Yeah, this chase here for Zeno is so important. Dyer, is he going to take a hit here? He's kind of doing the stand still tech here. Oh, but it eventually vaults into the killer there. Zeno now in chase at the portal room. iPick is doing a generator on the opposite side of the map. The ace is very quiet, but he doesn't have much to work with here. Just gonna have to go into the corner. And with the regression coming in onto iPick's generator, we can assume that he has been tagged by eruption and his aura is visible to the spirit.
iPick going to sneak his way here, but we are going to have Obi around in just a second, I would assume. Yeah, at least he's going to check the hallways here, expecting iPick to be around. He can tell that the survivor either working desperately on the final generator somehow, or alternatively trying to bring back Zeno into the trial here. Important to mention, everyone, you might have the idea, why aren't they playing for the hatch here? They could also just let Zeno die and then having the escape onto iPick. That doesn't work unless the survivor team has gotten all the generators done. If there are still generators to go, then we are ignoring any hatch or escape through the doors and still score it as a 4K 12 stages, because we do not want that the RNG in the end game is influencing anything. And that was a very well done play by Obi as well, using the husk here to block the window in case the vault would come through. That was very well done, and a lot of map knowledge once again here.
Yeah, it is a little known fact, Dyer, that the Spirit Husk does have collision. So very nicely done by Obi to place it right in front of the window and essentially trap iPick the moment he tried to go for that vault. So there was really no way out there for iPick, and now it's only the injured Zeno left standing as Obi is going to be searching for him and also protecting this hook He needs to get this down onto Xeno sooner rather than later to secure this 4K2 for his team. He's got good vision on every generator, though, as long as he stays in this hallway and then continues to check the portal room. We got to assume, though, that Xeno is probably off somewhere self-carrying.
Yeah, we can absolutely think that he's doing that at the moment. Yeah, no, actually, he's just enjoying himself a little bit on the corner here. Maybe one final attempt onto the save of iPick. Xeno knows very well that the endgame strategy is not going to work out with the hatch, as it's going to count as a 4K. So the only chance they really have here is going to be the save, and then somehow making the killer lose these survivors and then going for generator number 4. It sounds very unlikely, but when you're fighting for so much money here, then you're trying every single and final straw that is available to you on the tactical dashboard. Xeno is going to be the next one in the chase, has the balanced landing. That's why he's moving up here in the portal room. And every single second is now counting. This distance here with the balanced landing, all of this can be turned into a beautiful chase and potentially a generator, even though it becomes more and more unlikely. Great strategy there with the dodge, double backing in the door frame, trying to confuse the spirit, but it's not going to be enough. iPick is trying to go for the generator, but our killer doesn't even worry about slugging at the moment because he knows from the calculation really well Elysium is not able to get it, and iPick is just going to accept the fade as well and wants to say goodbye with a sprint burst fake. There was a cheeky greeting to the killer considering they're getting 4K'd here.
Yeah, Dyer, and I just want to note, it might have looked a little bit weird the way that Xeno was moving around that doorway while Obi was phasing. He was trying to use the audio occlusion to screw up the spirit there in the phase, because when the survivor moves back and forth like past the doorway of a solid surface, that changes what the spirit hears depending on the position. So that was just Xeno trying his best to confuse Obi without using pallets or windows there. So really interesting play there from him. It didn't work out, but maybe you guys can at home can use that in your public matches next time you go against a spirit.
That's a very good tutorial advice that we got here from Elysium, from Xeno, and thank you, Prion, for teaching everyone out there a little bit about the potential impact on the matches. If you also want to have a little bit of an impact, then you can practice along other competitive players and competitive fans. In our Discord server, we have the first world competitive leaderboard. You're going into our Discord server, you're opening a challenge, someone is joining in, you guys are doing pick spans, you play 1v1 against each other, a lot of friendly people that are also giving you feedback a little bit if you wish, and then you are going to receive some points or getting some points deducted based on winning or losing. So if you want to get a little bit better with your killers and if you want to get better a little bit with your survivors, then make sure you are hitting !Discord into the Twitch chat right now, joining our community and playing some 1v1 challenges among 22,000 other competitive fans. That's the invitation here, and you should definitely not miss this chance. So we're going to hear that Prion is going to take a very short break, so let's be just spontaneous here. Tobi, let's hit it in the break. When we are looking on the upcoming trial here, it is going to be one hell of a challenge. You basically need to 4K on only 2 completed generators as Team Elysium. How are you going to do this? And is the haunted ground mistake potentially the key to success?
If you ask me, if Calamity plays this really smart, they 99 as many generators as they possibly can. So ideally, you want to have 3 to 4 generators close to completion, then you start cleansing Haunted Ground, pop as many generators as you can, and this can be enough in the scenario Obi has given them. Because Obi had such a good spirit trial with 2 generators remaining, completely controlling the entire trial, so Calamity has a good win condition to work with. On the other side, Xeno might struggle a bit with the win con, because it's like really hard to 4K at I don't know, 2 generators remaining is the win con without a tie. This is really hard, even in a haunted ground set.
Yeah, that's really where I also see the only chance, right? When Calamity is somehow popping the haunted ground at the wrong timing and potentially then giving the chance to Zeno to really strike. I feel like when you have a win condition like this, you need a little bit of a gift or a little bit of assistance coming out from the survivor team. Let's see if Team Calamity is able to make the turn here for themselves in this grand final. Once again, they are down with the 3-1 at the moment. So let's hope that Elysium is not able to do it here on the killer side, at least when you are on the side of Calamity. Perhaps it's also time now to go for your wardrobe and getting your Calamity shirt ready to go, because this team really needs your support. And I'm hearing that Prion is back, so we are going to face a very, very difficult trial for Zeno here.
Yeah, if anybody can meet a win condition such as this one, it will be Zeno. Very interesting build he's got here. We really did not see any value out of the Dragon's Grip out of Obi. It didn't end up mattering for his result, but the ultimate weapon for Zeno is certainly an interesting choice, as he's already found scratch marks here, and he sees that one of his haunted ground totems is nearby.
And ladies and gentlemen, very important fact being provided there by Tobi from the background. This is the first Laurie Strode that is coming out in the All Hallows League. First screaming power ahead of us against the Spirit here. And Zeno is just showing that Calamity is not supposed to feel confident here, taking the win in the Spirit set. Very quick first down, and I believe Calamity hasn't even started. Pedro potentially didn't even turn on his monitor yet after the break, as they are now overwhelmed from the quick 2-tap onto Hein here. Totem has not been spotted as well. Very well done by Zeno. This is exactly how you imagine the perfect Spirit trial.
Yeah, Zeno already off to a very fast start here. One stack of the Pain Resonance, and he gets another picture-perfect phase there onto Rocket. Going to go straight past that pallet as if it wasn't there. And Rocket now seems like he's going to be phasing away back towards the hook. And yeah, that's going to be an instant hit onto the unhooker there in Marco. This is the Deliverance survivor being chased. Actually going to have the Lithe used before this is the Decisive Strike survivor being chased. And he actually uses the exhaustion before going down. He's going to go down now and activate the Decisive Strike. Skill check comes in. He's going to hit it off of the killer's shoulder here, but he does not have that Lithe. He already used it. So now Hein, can he make it to this filler pallet? I don't think he can. Not with the mother-daughter ring. He knows that he doesn't have the distance, tries to double back, and it's not going to be enough time.
Hein with a little bit of time waste at least, and there's Haunted Ground Part 1. Remember everyone, the special rule forbids Calamity to go for the first completed generator before Haunted Ground is being popped. And there's the other totem. They're actually not that far from one another, and the hook stage on the top side as well. So it's really not the perfect timing to go for the totem, at least not for free here. Is the Hawkins turning into haunted grounds for Team Calamity? That is going to be the very difficult question. We are inspecting the rats for a moment, because we are going to also check the locker up here, now going down back towards the hooked survivor, but Hein is going to be rescued. And we see a little bit of an alternative strategy, Prion. If it's not a good timing yet to go for the haunted ground totem, then at least you can make sure that the generators around the totem are slowly starting progression, but the first elimination is already waiting.
The haunted ground is finally going to be popped, Dire, and I don't think this could possibly have come at a worse time for Calamity. They just lost Hein, and this haunted ground popping now is going to make every survivor one shot, even the one that is healthy. I think they needed to do this way earlier, just like Elysium was able to do last game. It's going to be Marco getting a good stun onto Zeno, But with the mother-daughter ring here, 2 injured survivors, no generators done. It's starting to look more and more like Xeno is going to be able to meet this win condition. He finds scratch marks in the upstairs area. No blood though, so this has to be Pedro HC, the healthy survivor. There's still about 20 seconds left on that haunted ground. Another phase is going to be coming in here any second now. Pedro, he needs to dodge this phase.
Needs to dodge this phase for sure, and he is able to do that. Marco, unfortunately, a little bit too confident onto the pallet here, taking the swing through it, we could even say, but it is going to be the first generator. Now Calamity, the first generator. They are now smelling the blood in the water. We are going to have the rampage mode on the gens, hopefully in just a second after they delivered the first objective. 6 minutes, at least it feels like 6 minutes into the trial here. Let's hope they can go for some additional pressure here, as we need a little bit more Xeno going back onto the hallway here. Is it going to be the phase to the top side? It is going to be exactly that. The self-care coming out here, perfect through that style in the corner of the map, making sure that he's going to stay healthy, and that's important. We are going to have 60% over here on the top side, but Prion, it's not looking too good yet for Calamity. There's a lot more work needed.
Yeah, and that's going to be a hit onto Rocket now, chasing after this survivor in the phase. Looks like Xeno got a little bit turned around there, actually, and he's going to lose Rocket. Nice pathing there while injured against the Spirit. It's not hard to, it's not easy to dodge those phases when you are injured. Some would say it's almost impossible if you really don't like playing against the Spirit. So he's going to find evidence now of Pedro HC, that balanced landing survivor, working on the upstairs generator, and Xeno, he really wants to find these injured survivors and lock them out of getting any more gen progress here. He's able to hold on to these generators. He will be able to meet this insane win condition for Elysium. Goes for an ultimate weapon, is going to find that onto 2 survivors. And it looks like Rocket was able to self-care again off in the corner.
Yeah, it's important now that these survivors of Calamity are actually keeping it a little bit more safe here. We have seen how they are now rotating out of areas. Never mind, Petro is going to get a little bit surprised here, but the survivors taking a little bit more of a careful approach now, realizing as well that these injuries are coming in a little bit too quick. Petro, unfortunately, with the balanced landing, not able to go for anything significant, and it is going to be the slug. Xeno realizes that Calamity is in a good position here and has a lot of pressure, but then he also realizes that it's not going to be the time just yet. With 3 survivors starting his slug is going to potentially turn into a nightmare, so he's going to take the fresh hook onto Pedro's. Second generator is going to be completed. We need at least 1 more to make sure that it's at least the tie on the Spirit set here. And Prion, I hope that Calamity is getting this, because when we are looking at the whole grand final with being down 3-1 at the moment, when we are talking about the set points, losing this chance now would be absolutely devastating.
And look at this play from Xeno here. He's faking like he's going to go onto the injured Marco, trying to bait the healthy Rocket, going in for the save here. He's able to do it and gets the immediate hit onto Pedro. That heal is not going to come in. Dire, he needs to end these chases so quickly. Only 1 more generator to go for the tie condition in favor of Calamity. He is going to get the very quick re-down there onto Pedro, but that generator over in the opposite corner of the map has got to be getting close.
Petro on the floor still, Marco injured, and Rocket the only one who can really get something done. And Marco is also being spotted here. Calamity, it cannot happen that you're losing this opportunity. Marco is making sure that he somehow glitches through the attack of the Spirit here. Very well done. That's an extra 7 to 10 seconds that are being lost here, making sure that he's emoting, making Xeno believe that there is a survivor around for the pallet safe. Marco going into the self-care once again, and Zeno realizes more and more, I'm getting the downs quickly, I'm able to keep the survivor team under control. They are busy with something else but the generators, and therefore it is understandable now that he starts to get more and more confident, that he starts chaining these downs together by snowballing, as we in the community refer to this, when you're having multiple injuries and then you're trying to go with the slugged survivor to get the control over the survivor team. But Calamity doesn't allow it yet. We have seen the attempt multiple times. Calamity always a little bit too strong, and I believe that Rocket was a little bit too motivated on the pallet, but they're checking the corner real quick and then realizing he has to go for the pallet. So that's an unfortunate down right here. No noticeable impact on these generators yet, and our second injured survivor is around as well. Prion, it feels like Zeno is slowly making it happen.
Yeah, Zeno here wins the 50-50 on that pallet, and now there's only one healthy survivor left standing. Okay, 2 survivors left standing now, right as I say that. But that's going to be another down onto Marco. Zeno, he needs to end these chases quickly, but for Calamity, every second counts here. They have to last in chase against this Spirit, or they are not going to have any time to do these generators. It looks like it's going to be Marco choosing not to use his Unbreakable just yet. He's saving it for a more opportune time. He does already have a hook stage on him, but Zeno not picking up. He knows that he has to keep all of these generators if he's going to get the win here. Goes for another phase. Looks like he's going to just go back to Marco. Thinks somebody might be stealthing around to try to pick him up. Generators are probably being done in the distance by at least one survivor. Maybe Pedro HZ with that balanced landing. He's going to go for an ultimate weapon here. Going to find the upstairs gen survivor. That gen did not have very much progress last time we saw it. It looks like he's now going to go for the pickup onto Marco. Is this pain resonance? This is 50% on the most progressed generator. And it was not pain resonance, so he's only got one of those left. And it's probably there onto Rocket, that survivor with self-care that has been able to heal himself up so much. Injured survivor doing this gen, though, Dire, is very dangerous for Calamity.
And now, it is first of all absolutely impressive that Calamity is still standing here back onto the upper floor, as the survivors are now constantly trying to get the distance together here. Face coming out by Zeno. Is it going to be the quick down? Realizing that the survivor double backed, and Rocket, just like his name says, like a rocket, he's speeding away. And that was amazing.
Yes, this is the kind of play that Calamity needs to make over and over again if they're going to get this tie, and Rocket goes down on the pallet there. This is going to be the final fresh hook. 2 healthy survivors are standing. How much is this pain resonance going to matter? Marco, not on a gen, but Pedro HZ about 50% on one. So we have 2 generators on opposite sides of the map at 50% progress. One of them going to be hit by the pain resonance, the other one currently regressing from eruption out of Zeno. So that's going to be the final fresh hook. He's going to find Marco here with the ultimate weapon, and there's so many dropped pallets here. Is Zeno going to be able to phase around them? Yes, he will. Good read there onto Marco. Going to be another injury. Self-care survivor not in play, currently on the hook. So somebody needs to come in for this save. Maybe Pedro, or if maybe Marco's going to trade. Dire, is this really the right call? He doesn't get the unhook.
That might have been the deciding action in this trial here. Pedro walking over here in disbelief of what just happened on the other side of Hawkins. That is going to be more and more unlikely now that Calamity is going to find the chance and the comeback here, going back to the upper floor. Rocket and Marco in the distance. Zeno is not following Pedro here, so he's gonna take the chance hopping back onto this generator, but we just have a quarter so far on this generator. Too much of regression, too much of pain resonance coming in here. Rocket going into the second stage, and there he is, Pedro being found. Balanced landing as the final resource, as the final chance for Team Calamity. Is he able to do that? The answer is yes, and now one of of them can go for the pickup on the slugged survivor, but it is going to be tricky. Zeno instead just going to pick up here as he now realizes I have the injured survivors around me. I have so much generator regression that they would need way too long to go for the gens here, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can slowly prepare for the fourth set point of Elysium, which is going to lead to a replay of one of the sets Calamity lost. Once again,
Wait.
Calamity was in... Never mind, I spoke too soon, thank God! I love being proven wrong!
Wait, but Zeno knows. He's going to the generator, Dyer. He swings, and he gets the grab! No way! He needs to drop the survivor right now and kick the gen. The injured Pedro is right nearby, but Zeno, at the last second, he gets the grab. He had hit that survivor. That would have been the tie condition for Calamity, but it's all over, Dyer. No way.
Nah, this has been officially the closest generator decision that we had in more than 50 tournaments that we hosted throughout the year. This is devastating, this is horrible, and this is just sad for Team Calamity. This has been one of the saddest moments in the history of competitive DBD. It would have been the 3-2 and Calamity being all fine in this grand final 3-1 with the tiebreaker, but at least not facing the potential loss here. And now it's going to be 4 set points for Team Elysium. And now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Team Calamity came from the winner bracket, so they receive a little bit of an advantage in this double elimination tournament. Calamity is going to pick one set now that they would like to replay. A lost set it has to be. If they win now, then they would steal the set point from Team Elysium, and if it's going to be Elysium winning that set once again, then they are going to be the winner, and the decision is already there. Calamity didn't even think in the background. They don't take their time out either. They are calling it. It is going to be the Mastermind that is going to be replayed, set number 1, in opposite order this time. So Elysium is going to start on the killer side. And now I'm interested to hear from you guys, Tobi and Prion. What do you think about this decision? Mastermind again, and what can we expect here?
Personally, I am not shocked by this decision whatsoever. It's Obi's signature killer. You could tell that he was not happy about his result on that earlier in the day. So that is exactly what I would have guessed that Calamity wanted to replay. But I'm curious what you think, Tobi.
I totally agree with you. If we have a look at the sets that have been played today, it's clear that Calamity would have wanted to replay the Mastermind because the T1 Myers set was also kind of close. The Spirit set was really, really close, as we have seen a few moments ago. But the Mastermind set is the one they should have been favored all along. And this is the set they want to win, and that they expected to win when starting this best of 7. So there's no doubt that Obi is really confident in his ability to turn it around on the Mastermind and push us further into the Chucky and potentially the Nemesis later on.
Yeah, this is going to be Obi's final chance to keep Calamity alive. Well, and also for the survivors of Calamity up first against Zeno on the killer. Zeno performed very well on the Mastermind in the last match. We saw some very interesting builds featuring not a lot of slowdown, usually Blood Favor with maybe the Grim Embrace and the No One Escapes Death, just kind of assuming that the survivors are going to get all the gens done, and I think that would be the correct assumption. It's been a trend ever since the Mastermind came out in Dead by Daylight. Competitive players have absolutely loved playing against him, so it's only natural that they would be getting better and better against him as time goes on, to the point where when he came out, well, most people were saying that he was probably one of the top 5 or 6 strongest killers in the game, but now the sentiment is that he's actually quite weak and exploitable for the survivors in the competitive scene. So it is going to be very interesting, and I'm very excited that they chose to replay this one. But it looks like we are being told by our commissioner here that these teams need a 5-minute time break to make new builds. So, yeah, not sure what you think of that, Tobi. Maybe we want to throw it to a break, or maybe you have something to continue talking about.
At the moment, I'm still checking how much Mastermind we've seen in the past tournaments in Season 9 and the Winter Circuit, because I feel like there was a certain drop in like Mastermind games after a certain patch. And currently, I'm looking at Season 9. We've seen 6 Season 9 Mastermind games in our main event this year. But if you have let me look at the Winter Circuit, we can clearly see that the Mastermind was the most played killer back then in the Winter Circuit with 22 trials. So there has been a drop in the activity of the Mastermind after a few patches and the changes he went through. But you were totally right when you were talking about the killer itself and his acceptance in the competitive scene, as pro players love to play Mastermind, play against Mastermind, because it's such a fun killer to face and to play as. And it's good that Calamity at least is deciding to bring it back for all Hallows League and especially this replay set. So I'm pretty hyped about Obi's performance or his potential performance, because he should be on fire. He had such a good spirit trial, and it's really a shame that Calamity was not able to win this set because they had all their tools in the hand, but Xeno just came in clutch and won this last generator defense by a sliver.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been a definitive shift in the opinions on the Mastermind in competitive DBD, and I've talked to a few comp players myself about like what's it like playing against the Mastermind, playing him in these competitive matches. And in the beginning, it was a lot of yeah, this killer is A tier, he's quite strong, and but in the last few months, we have seen a significant drop off in the amount of teams wanting to play him. And now, when I talk to competitive players about Albert Wesker, they're like, this killer is terrible. They need to stop allowing decisive strike against him. Survivors are like all going to escape the trial. We need no ed. So I think it's we're really left with we're really left with the very dedicated mastermind lovers that are still picking him.
Yeah, and Obi is definitely one of them. Time and time again, especially in the All Hallows League, he showed how much he likes to play the Mastermind and forces other teams to adapt to his playstyle. I mean, before today, Calamity won every Mastermind trial they have played so far at AHL, even against teams like Elysium and Eternal, to knock them down into the lower bracket. And I think this clearly speaks for itself, as Obi is one of the best killer players we have in this tournament, and no doubt he should be able to bring out a good Mastermind performance and force us into another set like the Chucky or even potentially the Nemesis. And as we touched earlier, this is like Obi's bread and butter. This high mobility killers like the Mastermind, like the Blight. This is the playstyle he loves to play. And now it's time to shine and show our audience how good he can actually be on this killer.
Yeah, Calamity is sending you and the audience a clear message here. It was a fluke. Obi had one off game. It's not going to happen again, and this is the killer that we choose to bring us back into the match. I'm curious if we're going to see any interesting text from Obi. There was absolutely an attempted hug tech in that last Mastermind set. It was a very short one. It didn't actually hit anything, but I would say that Obi is likely to at least go for a couple more of those in this game, and that would be very exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will replay on the same set we played earlier. So this will be Rancid Abattoir. And on the map, you have the lineup and the ability to go for those dashes with the Mastermind, even those double dashes, as Zeno and Obi were showcasing, but you have to connect them. There is no room for error in a set and a trial like this. You have to win this trial or your entire season in AHL will be over. And with it, a lot of potential prize money that I'm sure Calamity wants to take home tonight.
Yeah, and when it comes to connecting those dashes, it can be the corn maps that they've been choosing to play on. it can really help, sort of, because we've seen the Weskers are taking the egg gloves combo. And it can really help with like connecting that second longer dash when you're out in the corn and there's not really a lot of obstacles around. If the survivors are able to find either those hay bales or those barrels to path around, that can really prevent the mastermind from being able to trigger that second bound. And that's why these killers bring the egg, because it allows them to reposition between the first and second dash. But when that survivor gets close to a pallet or window, then you don't really have time to reposition. That's when you have to just send it. And that's what really separates the good masterminds from the great ones. And Obi here, he's going to have a lot of times this game where he needs to just send it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Rancid Abattoir was also a choice for the mastermind because of the structure of the main building with these long fences and the ability of the mastermind to just stay in those fences with the dashes and to always connect them if you have a chase in the main building. I think this was also a reason Rancid Abattoir was chosen by Calamity. Let's see whether they can use it to their advantage in the upcoming trial. Calamity needs to win here, otherwise our best of 7 is over and Elysium is going home with a 4-1 record. We have seen a lot of close sets and trials so far. The T1 Myers set was really close, only one hook stage difference between both killer performances. The Spirit a few moments ago was one of the closest trials I've seen in a long time. This generator could have absolutely been finished with a little bit more coordination. But now we are loading in to our second mastermind set of the day. Daya, are you ready to cast another mastermind set?
I am, and everyone keep in mind we are going to play it in alternating order now. So it is Elysium this time coming out first on the mastermind. Trial 3, basically, we could say, when we're looking at this entire grand final. It is the final chance for Calamity. What happens now if they win the mastermind? You might ask yourself. Well, then they are going to steal the set point of Team Elysium. So Elysium will go back to 3 set wins, and we are going to have Calamity on 2, and then we continue this grand final. Oh, that's a very interesting perspective. You guys very likely didn't see it, but we basically loaded in with the camera in the head of the mastermind, and that is actually really suiting here. I swear I can cook a nice intro out of everything. We are definitely talking about something that is in the head here. The mindset is so important, and this is what Behavior realized as well. You need a good start into your game, and being thrown to the outside wall of the rotten fields and then rancid and then instantly being dead. Prion, that is not the start for your replay.
And that's going to be another bound hitting as well. And that is exactly what I was talking about. There's going to be a lot of situations in these mastermind games where you just need to send your second bound immediately and just trust yourself to have that aim. And that is exactly what just happened onto Marco there. Zeno coming out of the gate incredibly fast, showing Calamity that he does not care about their set replay, and he is going to end this grand finals right now.
And now first hook stage already onto Marco. Imagine everyone, you are saying that you are going for the replay here, and then it starts with the 2-tap. Very, very rough for Team Calamity. They need to basically make the comeback inside of the comeback set, and Zeno, he's just going to feel very comfortable here. That's going to be the Blood Favor leaving the trial and the Shack Palette following right after, but the Rocket now with a huge responsibility and getting the knife thrown into the back through the shack window. Very unfortunate that this connects on top. Prion, this looks worse than the first time Mastermind.
Yeah, and you know the killer is really feeling it when they go for that swing over the basement stairs while carrying a survivor, because fun fact, swinging over a ledge while carrying a survivor does not actually gain you any distance. It just kind of feels good to do. As opposed to swinging over a ledge when you're not carrying a survivor. That does save the killer distance, and that's why you see killers drop down like that. But anyways, it's going to be Marco healed up off of that hook. He needs to spray. It's 2 fresh hooks already for Zeno. Amazing start here. No generators done so far. And he is feeling very comfortable to just save his pain resonance hooks for later and go for these fresh hooks to get the no-ed use out of the later game. And he gets another throw onto Hein. Unfortunate pathing there from Hein. He's going to have a balanced landing to use there, but he's staying at this harvester area, Dyer. It's not very safe.
Yeah, it's not very safe at all for these survivors. Hein just barely missed though by a few centimeters here. Now looking to get a longer chase, but the harvester is not really the safest tile that we have on Rancid. Bolt coming through. Nice prediction here by Hein, reading Zeno's plan. But as I mentioned, the harvester ultimately coming to an end here because of a lot of difficult mind games need to be taken. That's going to be the next hook stage for our killer here. The second one, no, the third one overall. The good news is it's not the second hook for any of these survivors so far, so you're not having this classic tunnel out target yet.
Yeah, Zeno's got 3 fresh hooks, 2 pain resonance hooks, and not a single generator has been done yet. He is sitting pretty right now, probably feeling very good about his position in this game. He's even got a generator regressing near the hook. This really couldn't be going any better for him, as he's now finding chase onto Pedro HZ, the last fresh hook survivor here, going towards the shack. That shack pellet is gone. He's going to be pathing around the window side of the shack here. Zeno channeling the bounds here, goes around the outside. Pedro predicts that pathing. He's not going to be able to make the window though. Going to take an M1 here, but at least he was able to dodge out on the edge map throw, which he really didn't want to take there. Overcome going to get him back into the middle of the map. Has a couple of good fillers to play here. Zeno makes up all of the distance with the bounds, but that's going to be a pretty lengthy cooldown. Pedro going to hold W now. He's got a couple of good fillers here. He knows that Zeno's power is on cooldown. He can play this for a second, but now the bounce coming out again from Zeno. Goes around the corner, predicts the flare from Pedro, and that is a perfect down from Zeno. That's going to be the last fresh hook here.
Calamity, very unfortunate here with the replay. They are potentially creating a very harsh win condition for the killer here, but it's not the time yet to drop all the hope. One very, very strong mid-game chase can sometimes turn everything. A few mistakes from Zeno, a few long runs by the survivors, and you are looking forward to a comeback. Very well done by Rocket here, vaulting the pallet, unpredictable multiple times, making sure that Zeno is not able to take the down and the quick hook here. Very, very well done. Back on the harvester. Perfect distance keeping here as well. We have 2 survivors over here. Pedro is injured and has the decisive strike. That's why we don't need the double hit or the body block coming through, but another survivor is being found in the corner here. Hein taking the injury, a little bit intentional, so he's making sure that he has access to the main building, and that was a very heroic act by Pedro, taking the down into the decisive strike. Calamity showing us that they know what's needed now, that they can put all the resources together. We can only hope that it's going to bring some results.
Zeno still happy with that though, Dyer, and he gets the hug tech on that filler pallet. Incredible play. I am shocked that we saw that hug tech from Zeno first and not Obi, but I am really happy we got to see it nonetheless. That is a very specific tech that Wesker can do with a frame perfect input on the bound while he's colliding with a corner. Maybe I don't know how to do it myself, but there are a lot of amazing Weskers that do. So that's going to be second hook there onto Pedro. Hook, unhook coming in from the lorry here. The healthy Marco going to escape unscathed, as it looks like Zeno now wants to get the tunnel out onto Pedro HC. He knows the decisive strike is no longer in play.
Pedro going to drop this pallet very early because you cannot take any risk in there. Zeno zooming close already, realizing as well that Pedro would be the elimination here, and the 3v1 scenario is always so much easier to handle for the killer player. Into the main building here, Pedro rotates all the way over towards the shack, wants to get the dash out there and baits it successfully. Zeno trying to get it but not able to do so. Second survivor also injured over here at the shack, not entirely sure if that serves to be a body block, and there's a third. The ace is here as well. Calamity family meeting on the shack side at the moment. Hopefully that is going to be working out. So far only for Zeno, as Rocket is injured and now going to take the vault here, but Zeno also has the safe pickup with the view into the wall, and that's going to be the 3 versus 1 scenario in the replay from the Mastermind. Third generator coming out. That's a little bit of a blast to the broken hearts of the Calamity fans here, but by far not enough, Prion.
And Dire, there had to be some sort of strategy going on there with Pedro running directly into the most progressed generator that was being done by Rocket. Usually that would be the opposite of what you want to do in a competitive set, but I think that was a play for Pedro to try to be able to get his unbreakable off, hoping that the killer, Zeno, would get distracted by Rocket doing the generator and allow him enough time to get up with unbreakable, but it did not work out. So that is going to be worst case scenario for Calamity, as they chased directly into the most progressed generator and didn't get anything out of it that they were looking for. Reset is going to be coming in onto Rocket and Marco on the edge map there. Zeno unable to find them, and it's probably going to be Rocket spraying here anytime soon. He needs to find Hein here, though. He needs to find any of these survivors. I mean, Dire, this is already an incredible result for Zeno.
Absolutely. Zeno can be more than happy. We talked about it, right? In the campfire chat, you two said Calamity wants to send a sign. The first Mastermind trial was a mistake. It won't happen again. And we are seeing pretty much the opposite of that. There's no sign at all, I don't want to say, but definitely not the one that is required here for Team Calamity. 1 survivor is gone, still 2 survivors to go, so Zeno gaining just more and more confidence here. That's going to be the quick entry into the edge map rock, and that's leaving Rocket with the cow tree, a strong tile, especially. Oh, 9. Oh, 9. That this also works now in the grand final on your replay is an absolute catastrophe, ladies and gentlemen. This is basically, if you're asking me, this was just the gravestone, the tombstone on Calamity's comeback.
Yeah, you said it best there, Dire, and that is a play that the killer will only go for when he feels like he is just that much better than you. And Zeno really feeling it on the Mastermind here. Goes for another hug tech, not going to land onto Hein. And again, he didn't even need to do that. There was no pallet there.
Hein needs to be basically the #1 runner. They do get the final generator. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say, I'm super impressed by Team Calamity, because how this trial looked with the difficult early game, with the quick elimination, with even these cheeky plays now working out against them on the cow tree, it didn't look too good at all here. Marco is injured and he won't reach any other pallet, so that's going to be the down. The only chance now is that Hein is somehow escaping on the bottom side here, and that would be such an important turn, but Rocket is getting rescued in the distance, so Calamity is fighting for a few more stages out of the door here. Though Zeno realizes this survivor is next to 1 exit gate, they need to cross the entire map to make it out there, so he has enough time to go for the hook on Marco here.
Zeno here, he's going to play for just whatever stages he can get. I don't think he's going to be inclined to camp here, even though he does have the no-ed. Both survivors standing are injured. Going to check that totem quickly, and he's going to find somebody stealthing here. Waits out the dead hard. Amazing read from Zeno there. And he did not have a long window to do that, as Hein was so close to the pallet, and it looks like now Rocket is going to be trying to get out the door. I don't think Zeno can make it there in time.
I don't think so as well. It is going to be Rocket, the hope carrier for Team Calamity. He is going to walk out of the door here. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be 11 stages though, meaning that Obi would need to 4K on all generators completed if that's supposed to work. And now I would be interested to hear from our analyst Tobi, how is that supposed to work here?
It will be really difficult, I assume, because Obi needs a really good performance and a 4K at 0 generators remaining. So no stage is allowed out of the door if Calamity wants to take the set point. And this is a really tough task for Obi now, because we have seen how efficient Elysium can be in this Mastermind sets. But to be honest, really good job by Calamity to come back from this disastrous early game where they had a down survivor and an injured survivor in like 30 seconds of the trial. So they really made a good job comebacking this trial. But Obi has a tough task ahead of him.
If anybody can do this on the Mastermind, it is going to be Obi. He wasn't able to do it in the first set today. I said that Calamity needed to make a statement here, and instead it was Xeno coming in with a much more powerful statement on that Wesker. And now it is backs against the wall for real this time for Calamity. They are putting it all on the back of their killer player. He needs to 4K on a killer that traditionally does not even get more than 6 stages.
It will be really rough for Obi. But if we take a look back at the previous sets Obi has played in this tournament, he even managed to defeat Eternal in the Nemesis set earlier in the upper bracket. So if a killer is well equipped with all his experience and the knowledge, then it should be Obi coming back from survivor performance of his team with the result they gave him. He should be full of confidence that the Mastermind set is his set and he should be able to win it all for Calamity.
Yep, so it looks like the survivors are getting into the lobby here. And look at this lineup of players. We have Swatter, Grenout, Xeno, and Pedro here. Some seriously good players, some 1v1 ladder champions, as Direwolf mentioned earlier. You too can join the 1v1 ladder and get better at Dead by Daylight. That's the only way to consistently improve your own chases, is to consistently do 1v1s against good killer and survivor players. So don't forget about that. We've got some top players from the 1v1 ladder in this game right now.
It will be really exciting. This is potentially the last trial we will see today. So all or nothing for Calamity on the killer side, with Obi on his favorite Mastermind, which he had so much success on in this tournament already. He lost no Mastermind set until today, and even won with this killer against Elysium in the upper bracket final. So we should be in for a treat and a really great trial. But I think the survivor team in Swatter, Grenok, Xeno, and Pedro is well equipped to win this game and bring it home for Elysium even after the replay of the Mastermind set.
Yeah, so the teams are starting to ready up here. It really does not get any more down to the wire than this. This is Calamity's final chance to get anything out of this grand finals. And it's really a sad story for Calamity, for them to be in this position. Calamity is the team that for so long has been second, third, fourth. They've been so consistent in coming to these events, but they are just never actually coming out on top in the last second, always seeming to be beat out by Elysium or Eternal. And now they finally have this chance in the grand finals, and it all comes down to this one killer set.
Yeah, that's going to mark the moment where you, as a Calamity fan, ladies and gentlemen, can ask your mom and dad for forgiveness for now getting out the flags, the decoration for the wall. Turn your living room into a shrine of Calamity support, because that's what Obi really, really needs. Let's see what he's capable of doing. We are seeing Corrupt, Painless, Blood Favor, and no one escapes death. So we do have something for the end game in case all the gens are being completed and the survivors are still standing. We maybe see a speed run by Obi to keep it all together. But what we need even more than that, Prion, is kind of a balance out from the previous early game. It went horrendous for Calamity, so this needs to be basically a down.
And it looks like Obi is going to connect with that first set of bounds onto Xeno. That is a good first down, almost as fast as Xeno had in the last game. So good start for Obi, and that's the Deliverance survivor put up on the first hook. Very good start for Obi. He just needs to convert it into more now.
Now, Xeno on the hook, everything going according to the plan. You're welcome, Calamity, for the first ever caster blessing instead of caster curse in All Hallows League here. And that's going to be Obi trying to get Pedro, but not going to work out. Instant rescue in the distance with not even an injury just yet. Difficult also, as you really want to keep the survivors busy with the objectives. And what a nice use out of this little tree that we are having here. And Pedro is not even going to be injured, as he's just going a little bit on Ryanair mode, flying across the Rancid Abattoir here. Volt coming in, Obi predicts that, so it will be the M1 on the back, but still Elysium in a very good early game so far. The other two survivors, Swatter and Granout, completely time on the generators here, so we need a lot more from Obi.
Shack Pallet notably not blocked with Blood Favor. He's able to get away from the radius of that Hex. Bound's going to be coming out. He tries to go to the basement stairs to mess him up, and nice flare from Pedro, able to dodge out on those bounds from Obi, and that is a devastating miss. That's going to cost him a lot of time as Pedro now makes the Shack Pallet. Pallet break going to be coming in from Obi there. Pedro now pathing back towards that other tile, and he actually gets hit. Will that throw connect? It will. What a set of bounds from Obi, able to make up the time that he lost there, Dyer.
Yeah, this would be one of the moments where I would yeet my computer out of the window, because that was a very generous hitbox that behavior provided there. But this is also what you really need, right? When everything is going against you, when you are standing with the back on the wall in the grand final, then you need a little bit of luck on your side, and this is happening now, and Obi might really be able to take some confidence out of the down here. 2 stages so far in exchange to 1 generator. That doesn't sound too good on the paper, but if he's now able to chain these pressuring actions together, and if he's perhaps able to get Xeno unexpectedly and quick onto the floor again, then there is the chance to go for it. But Xeno, with the patience of hell, Obi mind gaming himself even a little bit until he finally is able to strike with the M1 here. Beautiful what Elysium is playing at the moment. You can tell that they realize that they have the win in reach.
Yeah, bounds off cooldown once again, but this filler palette is so difficult to play as Wesker, and he actually misses the vault there. That's so unfortunate. Xeno doing very well to play this filler so far. Will he make it around one more time? I think he has the distance. Doesn't go for the vault though, and Obi reads it and is going to get another down onto Xeno. That's going to be his second hook.
Now the next generator coming out here, but we also have the chance to tunnel out Xeno now. 70 seconds to go, but 75% on this generator here, and thank God to all the Calamity fans that the next gen is only on a quarter so far. Main has a little bit as well. That's going to be the regressing generator. What Obi also doesn't really get from Team Elysium is the chance to have a hook stage right next to generators that are currently regressing. Elysium is making sure that they are dying in the perfect spots, and Obi on the run back. There's Xeno. That's the survivor you really need, and you need him fast. You need the elimination, but the sprint burst is coming out double basically, and that's going to be the quick pallet drop here. And this mind game, it needs to be flawless. Obi though decides to go around the tile on the other side, so giving a little bit of distance to Xeno, who's able to dodge now, and that is going to be more seconds distance in the disadvantage of Calamity. Vault of the window back to the Harvester. Xeno on the run potentially to the next DBDLeague crown.
If Xeno lasts here, Dire, it is over. Obi tries to collide off of that bounce with the Harvester there, but it's not going to work out. Xeno gets so much distance with that Blood Rush on the sprint burst. Now, going to mind game this window, it's not going to work. Obi reads it once again, and that is going to be the death onto Xeno. One more generator to go, but it looks like there's significant progress on this one. If any survivors make it out of the door here, Dire, this grand finals is over. Xeno has lasted enough time for them to finish all of the generators, and now Obi. He has about 30 seconds to win this game for Calamity.
Insane work by the team. We have to know it, but know it can only do so little work for you. It can down you one survivor instantly, but after that you would need to travel across the map. We see the notification in the distance. They're celebrating in the shack, and Obi, that doesn't work. No, it's not going to be the revenge for the previous trial. That's only working when you're the true winner of the grand final in DBDLeague, and that is going to go to Team Elysium. Ladies and gentlemen, Swatter here even making this pallet vault, and in the distance there's the exit door open. They even come back to finish it with style and with a very huge confidence. They do not only care about getting themselves out of the door here. Swatter is somehow staying in the trial, Grenade vaulting out of the shack, and here's in the exit gate running towards $3,000 and the win, the crown of the All Hallows League. A little bit of moonwalking up there by Pedro on the corner of the screen, and very well done. Team Elysium is the winner of this year's All Hallows League.
And that is it, Dire. Calamity not able to take it home. It's going to be a 4-1 final score. And in the end, Elysium was just the better team today, Dire. It's been great to be casting these grand finals with you and doing the break segments. And I think the game honestly went about how I predicted.
Absolutely, and Elysium just making sure that they are taking the win now, and it was so long worked for in DBDLeague, so they can celebrate. A huge shout out to Calamity, great fight tonight, coming out on the second for such a long time. A very, very huge name on the stage as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say thank you to the people that were involved in the stream today, starting off first of all with Tobi, our analyst with so much insight and so many stats for us. Tobi, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great opportunity to be a part of the analyst desk at the grand final. It was a really close matchup. In the end, Elysium came out on top with 4-1, but we have seen really, really close games like the T1 Myers, the Spirit trial with the closest generator I've ever seen. It was a blast, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Next one, obviously, Prion has casted, I don't want to exaggerate, but probably 40-50% of the games in the All Hallows League, carrying us weekend after weekend, so very much deserved to be here in the grand final tonight. The people really respect you for all your dedication and your analytic mindset. So do I. I learned a lot even tonight, so thank you so much for being here as well.
Thank you for the mention, Dire. It's been really fun to cast so many games in the All Hallows League. I've been trying to get better as a caster and be more and more entertaining and educational for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed all of these games as much as I did. And I guess before I go, if you do like my educational style of commentary, feel free to come check me out on my own Twitch channel. I do this kind of thing personally as well, and you could come there and ask me any questions about Dead by Daylight. I know a lot, and I really like teaching people.
Yeah, so make sure that you're taking this offer, ladies and gentlemen. The same goes for the offers to learn more about DBDLeague tournaments with the stats, because our analyst Tobi is not only yapping in the breaks, he's posting these statistics every single time on the Discord server. So make sure to hit !Discord to discuss, to learn, and to educate yourself more and more about competitive Dead by Daylight. Thank you so much to the entire team in the background, starting off with Nero, Ala, and Vulpes on the artworks and the design of the stream. Special shout out to Vulpes, because there was some technical problem. The timer screen that started off this stream today was not done at all. He started at 1 a.m. last night to get this screen done last second, saving us. So a huge shout out to our artists here for all their dedication. The same goes for the Twitch and Discord mods for keeping us safe every single time. To the match officials and the staff team, making sure that the tournament is running smooth. When you are ever encountering them, make sure you leave a very nice message, because these people are putting in so much free time to make DBDLeague happen. Then a warm shout out to the commissioner team, to Kasi and to Savannah, keeping everything in line behind the scenes and making sure that we are able to organize these events. And then, of course, as always, special shout out to the production. Rats has taken the responsibility for the grand final here, and throughout the tournament we have seen the streams by Savannah and by Derolog, so thank you a lot for them as well. And last but not least, we can do a lot here. We can set up tournaments, we can try make rules, and we can do all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't make sense if no one is coming around to watch it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to say goodbye until 2025. That was the final day of competition. We will come back with more tournaments, with more challenges, with improvements on the production side as well. Be ensured of that. If you would like to support us, any subscription, any donation is going to get into the tournaments and into the prize pools. But yeah, thank you so much for being around. 2024 has been an amazing year. We are looking forward for more, but we are also wishing you a wonderful winter, wonderful Christmas. We hope you have a great time with your family, with your loved ones, and then when we all took some energy as viewers, players, casters, teams, then we are going to see us once again 2025 for the winter circuit, our annual Christmas or New Year event, you could say. A production for that is already in the works, so be hyped about that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're staying healthy, make sure no one is stepping on your mood. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not great, because you are certainly wonderful. Take care, everyone, and see you very soon.